And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and league fans from all over the world, welcome back to the Collegiate League of Legends Championship, right here presented by Riot Games, sponsored by State Farm. I am your host for the evening, Ravishing Rabbits, the most ravishing man on the internet, and I'm joined here by my side for the next couple of weekends by Miss Cardi Wave and Dimitri off Battery Toledo. How are we doing, Dimitri, first?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here. I'm super excited. Also, first time get to work with Kari, fantastic person. So I'm a huge fan of this. And also, I mean, it's just CLOL, right? We're starting with the CLOL championships, and never a better time to start.
Yeah, I'm extremely stoked. First time working with Alk as well. He also let us dress him. So I mean, as a matter of circumstance, we really like an obedient boy, and we're really excited to work together. So this is gonna be fun.
Yes, it will.
We do indeed, Cardi. I could not agree with you more. As long as you all get along, and we're all just and we're all just happy tree friends, then things are gonna be a-okay between all of us.
Oh, man.
But speaking of which, as we are on a bit more of a limited schedule, let's move right on into what we have going on today, starting with the matches, right up front. Within just a couple of minutes, we're starting off with Northeastern University versus GMU. Going out there with the day, we have Michigan State University versus DePaul. And for the final game of the night, we got Illinois State Redbirds versus the University of the Pacific. Carly, starting off with you, talk to us about our first matchup.
Yeah, our first matchup, we've got Northeastern in our first round here. So here's the thing, though. I just want to take a minute because we were talking about this earlier. Alk was mentioning that this is actually CLOL's back, because it got canceled because of COVID. So this was something that we were like, this should be more celebratory. We should be stoked to be here, especially because a lot of these teams didn't get to show off what they, all the hard work that culminated in their participating in CLOL. So now is the time. We're really stoked to be here. And the matchup is Northeastern versus GMU. Am I correct here?
Yes.
Gotta make sure I'm keeping on. Yeah.
Yep.
So we've heard that GMU is fairly proficient in the early game. I actually don't know much about Northeastern, so I'd love to hear that from Alk if you got the all up.
I gotta say, like, just looking at just collegiate in general, I think it's really exciting for Northeastern. They're a completely new program, so first time here for collegiate, and I think I'm excited because it's just like, we get to see more players. We also have just the incoming amateur system as well. So now that we have kind of both sides of it, you get to be a pro player. You have the pipeline from both. I'm excited to see what up and coming programs can really do in CLOL. I think it'll be. I think that these first couple matches are going to be really interesting because, again, these are teams that have taken a little bit of a break. Some of these the playoffs for their own conferences were about a month and a half ago. So always really interesting to see what they come up with, especially since we're on 11-9, which has a whole slew of changes, which I think are going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah. It's going to be really, really good, actually. And isn't Viego live on this one? We're playing Viego.
We got Viego and Gwen. We get both of them.
Oh, no.
So
This is going to be terrifying. I'm excited.
The fact that Viego and Gwen became live at the exact same time predicted my exact word for you to start out. One, people can see that Gwen is broken, and two, they can see that Viego is even more giga broken. Like, you people forget, past all the bugs, like, he's a disgustingly strong champion, and if you combine him with Silas, so Viego and Silas together effectively become Mr. Steal Your Champion, which I want to go ahead and coin that right now. That was all me and nobody else, of course. But looking at a bit about Northeastern, I did want to mention they were, I believe, 10-1 in their own conference, only dropping one game up against Miami as well. So, speaking of which, their coach, Mr. Matt Samuelson, also known as Cubby XX, also your host for the Academy stream as well, is there, which you saw like, should be really.
He's got Dylan. They've got the father-son duo on the.
You're right.
So they've got both of them. They've got the jungler from Miami, Ohio. I wish they could have done this matchup so they can talk. They could be a little bit salty about Northeastern, but thankfully we'll have the pleasure of that for them.
It was definitely will. And looking on the other side here, John, GMU as well, like we were talking about, a little bit back and forth on the early game put too, but really good in poke style compositions. And looking at the roster, they also did come third in UPL previously as well.
Yeah, they like to play those poke style comps. I think, in my opinion, as far as play style goes, it's team fights for them. They seem like the kind of like vicious knock 'em, drag 'em out PvP kind of style team. So that means that the laning phase, which is for intellectuals, they don't really. You
got barbarians. You need to return to monkey, and you're
return
to no more laning phases.
Yeah, the intellectual laning phase versus the mid to late team fight phase for Brute.
Oh yeah.
GMU definitely excels at that. And I think that, Kelsey Moser said on Twitter a couple weeks ago that it's the team fight mechanics that you're looking for in like exceptional players. You can teach everything else, including the intellectual laning phase. I don't know why I keep calling it that. But that actually shows a lot of hope and a lot of very good potential talent for GMU. And like you said, they've had like a month and a half to prep for this. And it's crazy, having watched amateur and college league, how much they can progress in like even a week. They get crazy, like adaptable, and they make crazy strides. So I'm excited to see what they have for us here.
1,000%. And now going in this matchup as well, Northeastern, I believe, is also the highest seed within this. But considering and poking and prodding around just the collegiate scene, I think it's been kind of back and forth in terms of who people really view as the favorites. Because I've been hearing the GMU might possibly have a leg up between the two, but personally, considering all these games are best of threes, that means there is time to evolve, adapt, and look forward into your opponent, seeing like, okay, maybe this didn't work. Maybe Italy isn't the best choice into going into Lilia, right? But that can, of course, be just my opinion, which make sure you decide. Just like,
how can I both roll our eyes, Italy fans?
Yeah, I think we have a couple of exciting matches. Obviously, ISU are coming in at the end of the day for the stream. They'll be going up against UOP. I think that they are obviously coming off of a little bit of a high. Hyper, who is their jungler, did just get promoted to TSM Academy. So congrats to him already. We're seeing some more. Exactly. We're seeing some more of that collegiate kind of talent start to rise. Hopefully we get that 10K per month for RBM, who will also be on the second game for today in MSU. A lot of interesting people, we have a lot of interesting games for today, so I'm excited to get underway for some of these.
1,000%. Now, RBM personally, I just want to point out is, if you guys haven't really seen what RBM is all about, there's only one clip you need to watch. A little bit ago, back when he first had the U8 tournament for the Proving Grounds, right? Core JJ was doing a little co-stream. And unfortunately, we saw the barrage get caught a little bit, and then he turns into RBM and just turns and claps his hands playing Lisa, and hey, really big meme.
Really big meme. That's always great. I always love seeing, I think it's shortened, obviously, because they're going to be playing on accounts, but I always love just seeing RBM or really big meme come up on my screen. And it's always a fun narrative to bring up, like, wow, this guy got destroyed by really big meme. But Peyton's honestly a really great guy. He's also just has had a really impressive kind of growth from the beginning of this year. Obviously did take a break from competitive, came back, and I think has really started to grow from a player at the beginning of this year who was like, I'm kind of just playing on this roster just to kind of fill out for, just for a substitute, to, hey, I think I want to maybe make a run for being a pro player, and also just, taking advantage of his collegiate scholarship. So really awesome to see him kind of grow.
Really big meme? Really awesome, really big meme? I'm just kidding. No, my favorite thing about really big meme is when he hovers Yumi for his girlfriend. So, I mean,
yes,
that's where my brain is at. They're the sweetest couple ever. Two of the nicest people. I'm sorry. I just had to say it. I had to put it out there.
1,000%. Now, looking back across the board at their opponents as well onto ISU, right? These guys have been an absolute menace going into the collegiate scene too. They always beat Maryville previously in the CLL season as well. And consider, like you mentioned before, they digital Hyper, so they have GFP playing for them, which I think the playstyle change for them has been kind of back and forth, especially considering Hyper, a playmaker in his own right, was able to absolutely dominate the jungle, and he knew what he wanted out of the game, really playing towards himself. But on GFP, plays much more for his laners, a lot more so for his team, and is very, very supportive, and being able to get his carries ahead. So it's like, I think the way the play style has shifted, I'm excited to see how they've been able to adapt as a team. Pater, talking to him before, he was extremely confident that once they get past this round 32 into 16, they will see them in the finals. Because remember, friends, it is do or die for almost every single one of these matches. So if you don't do, option number 2 happens, which is
you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna just have to wait until next year. I guess this is like when it used to be like Academy Worlds, where you would do your first Academy split and you do the spring season, you'd have your playoffs, and then you do summer, and it's like, okay, well, everybody's off to Worlds, so we're not going to really be able to do it. I'm super excited for ISU, especially with a new look with GFP playing. Obviously, they've been kind of, taunting some different strategies, right? They've had Dat and ShamWow kind of come in and out of the roster. GFP, like you said, and I think it'll provide a really unique challenge because, like you said, Hyper has always been kind of like this aggressive jungler, has always been really, I guess, self-identifying, has his own kind of style and wants to play it out and kind of forces his team to kind of be that rock for him. Where GFP, like you said, playing for lanes, and with players like Dat and Drudozer, I think you have really strong people that I think you can start to kind of get behind, especially with how Nausicaa has really grown into the role coming from OS.
Definitely so, but friends, we're not here to talk about ISU completely. That's third matchup, which you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here with us for that, Dimitri. So my heart aches for that, unfortunately. But looking back
you
at,
got good people coming in. I got good people. Coming
We
in.
do. That's definitely not the kind of.
Trust me.
You're right. But these are people that we have not dressed, so I can only speak to the ability to be able
that is true.
Exactly. So looking at right now, right, between Northeastern and GMU, I do want to hear your guys' predictions. I want to hear what's going on as I'm getting where the draft is also just starting between these two teams very, very soon as well. So we'll be able to see that in just a couple of minutes. So without that being said, we will, and one quick note, so unfortunately, due to some little back and forths, we will not be able to show you the draft as of yet, but we will inform you of it as we go along throughout the day. And I'm sure, Dimitri, you're good at audiobooks, right? So I'm sure you can just talk about what happened across the board. Like, you should
as you know, all three of us are casters. I'm pretty sure we're well versed in being able to read what's happening on the screen. It happens from time to time. Sometimes you just got to go for it. I think fairly across the board, until there's a few matches that I think I have my eyes on across all three of our streams, which if you don't already know, you might want to hit up a multi-stream. I think the first round of 32 and even round of 16 is going to be fairly quick. It's just going to be getting rid of some of the other teams that, hey, you did really well in your conference. This is now the big table, right? We're sitting with the adults now. So I think it'll be we'll see a lot of 2-0s. I don't know how long or quick they will be, but I'm going to say that today, across the board, maybe that ISU one gives us a little bit of trouble because I know they tend to be a little back and forth sometimes in their performance, but I'm going to just say across the board 2-0s.
Wow. Strong predictions from a very strong human being. I respect it. Kari, your thoughts?
I can really only speak to this first game that we're going into right now. And I know. I only want to speak to this first game that we're going into because okay. I'm a coward. So to be honest,
don't worry. I avoided all accountability by saying 2-0s but not picking a team. So
yeah, exactly.
We're gonna go back to that battle. You're gonna give me names.
Sorry, give it to us.
I'm going to safely align myself with GMU, and here is why, okay? I very recently started covering like the collegiate amateur scene, and if a college has a well-instated program, they feed their students, they set aside practice time, they never do as well as the hungry Mavericks who don't have any funding from their school. So I think GMU is going to be very hungry, and I think that they are going to take it 2-0. So let's see how that goes. Let's see if that works out. I'm pretty sure. I see the hunger in their eyes. I've got a hunch. You'll see.
That
working with some background information. Okay.
I've got insider information.
Wow. So you tell me you know what's going on. But speaking of the hunger, I gotta say that might be me. I have not had breakfast yet, so you might.
It's 2.
No,
it's 2 o'clock. I don't know. It's a little late for breakfast, man.
But technically, if you look at the other time zone, it's actually 11 o'clock, Dimitri. So I'm doing fine by the breakfast times.
It's brunch.
Speaking of breakfast, GMU is not taken very seriously by their school, so they probably don't even get fed breakfast when they're in this program. So I'm just going to say they're hungry for it. They are going to win, and I believe in them. So just watch. That's what's going to happen.
GMU, send some merch over to Kari. Send some merch over to Kari if you end up winning this game.
Hashtag this is an ad for GMU. Please feed these children. Thank you so much.
There you go. Oh. I hope they are. I will say Northeastern probably takes this. I've already seen a bunch of tape for GMU. Yeah. I'm not super sold on their style of gameplay, so I'm gonna just say Northeastern. I'll have some accountability. We'll go as we get further on. I'll give my predictions for the other series.
I
Al-
completely understand. It's I just want to say real quick. Actually, what car you go first? You sound like you're just dying to get things out there. What's
well,
up?
I just want to fight with Dimitri. That's really it.
Okay,
And I'm
That's
just
okay.
curious.
Sure,
Do you
go for it.
believe in the doctrine of win early, win game? Is that why you're going with Northeastern?
I'm an 80 carry player, so win early is almost never like it
not even an
happens
option.
sometimes. Especially like, I mean, Tristana is very popular, right? Jinx is, a champion, so I don't know how realistic that'll
player.
be, but exactly. So I don't know if win early game. I think if you can get the first 15 minutes down of any game, you can set yourself up for you can give yourself a cushion to kind of throw for a little bit. So I will say, generally speaking, winning lane tends to win game, but I don't know about that as we get further and on in terms of levels of play.
Yeah. Okay. Very subtle. Very good. I can agree with that opinion. I don't even want to fight anymore. So Ravish, let's take it from here.
As a top laner, I like to go into every single game and I in all chat just type in truce to over the guy that I'm laning.
Truce,
with, 'cause
gentlemen's
I-
agreement, and then you
Please,
just
bro.
you /mute all.
in your on stage game, you /mute all.
Exactly. I take off my earphones, turn up game sounds to 100. Forget listening to my teammates. I want to hear Annie yell into my ear, bro, whenever she yells, bro. But I want to give this one. I want to give this one over to GMU, and I'm gonna give it a 2-1. Like you mentioned, Kari, I'm always generally a dreamer, and I'm all for underdog stories, which is, I believe, what we have here today. And I think potentially there could be an upset. No, Northeastern is the higher seed, but I'm always down for some banger League of Legends content. And with that being said, we're gonna cut it to a very, very short break due to just some technical hysterics. When we come back, we'll have the game for you all. We'll see you then.
I'm here now. It
Hi,
is
welcome.
hi. I am here now. Me and Alec, we're gonna be doing the actual in-game stuff here. So no Kari and Ravish, unfortunately for you guys, for a little bit. You're gonna have to deal with me. So have fun.
Kari, I mean, come on. I mean, Kari and Ravish are nice, but Charlie, don't sell yourself short. You're
Aw.
great as well. I've hung out with
Aw,
you enough.
thanks,
I
pal.
think I think you can hold your own against those guys. They're
Thanks.
look,
I
they're on the
could
desk
beat
for a
them up.
reason.
I'm pretty sure I could beat them up. Probably both of them.
I don't know about Kari, but we'll have to save that for afterwards. We have got ourselves game. First game, GMU is on the blue side. Again, for everybody who is just now tuning in, we had a little bit of some technical issues, so we're going to be hopping right into game in a few minutes, in about a minute and a half or so. But already, I think we have some interesting stuff. We get to see Nico in the mid lane. I know everybody at home is probably going to be wondering what we'll get to see, but I think that this game, like I said on the desk, it was the first round of 32 is going to be mostly pretty one-sided. I think it's going to be a lot of 2-0s, very quick, and then round of 16, round of 8/4 is when we start to get very, very kind of tight when it comes to these matches.
You're looking to, I like the enthusiasm that Kari had for GMU, but I have to go the same direction that you are in talking about Northeastern with a 2-0 sweep on this one. I mean, so the esports collegiate conference, they got first place there. And then, we're looking at George Mason's South Conference, who are third, and a 10-1 team from Northeastern as well, just absolutely obliterating a lot of the matchups that they come up against. So, as much confidence as Kari might have in GMU, I do have a feeling that this will be my prediction here. I guess, since Ravish didn't get the opportunity to ask me, but I know how much he loves his prediction. So my prediction then is going to be the same as yours there, Alec. It's going to be a 2-0 in favor of Northeastern, but we'll see if the Huskies can take it today because, I mean, it's going to be a fun matchup no matter what. You're absolutely right, though, Alec, when it comes to the first part of the bracket, the early side of the bracket, in the early days as well in this kind of a tournament, they tend to be knockdown drag-em-outs. They tend to be very one-sided, and they tend to make me hate my job.
Oh, come on. Look, I think there's a lot of fun things that we can do for this. I mean, specifically looking at GMU, like we said on the desk, they've played on Upsurge, but they've been perennially just like sitting right outside of CLOL. They were going to be able to, obviously last year they got their playoff streams. Everybody's got their playoff streams cut in half. And then the year before that in 2019, they were actually kind of scheduled going into CLOL. It didn't kind of work out. They've always been a third and fourth place team. So seeing them here again for the championships, I think they have something to prove. I think if certain teams, I think there's a couple of teams that if they make it past the round of 32, they're saying, hey, that's pretty good for us. Some colleges obviously don't have a funded program, and them making it as far as they can is awesome. And so I think GMU, maybe they can look for that upset, but I'm really entrenched in this Northeastern camp.
Same. I love that. Entrenched in the camp. Absolutely. And this definitely, we've got several teams that aren't actually funded in this CLOL group. So that's very exciting. I think the next matchup, we've got Michigan State, which is another non-funded team. So we get to see a lot of that hunger that Kari was sort of alluding towards in terms of the non-funded schools. Money gets you so far. Money only gets you so far. When you have really driven and dedicated students and players, then they're gonna do their best to bring things home. But funding does certainly help in terms of having solid coaches, in terms of facilitating your players in general. So I like both sides of that. But hopefully all of these schools soon have funded programs so we don't have to worry about something like that.
That's the eventuality, right? You get far into CLOL, you get far into the championship, college starts saying, hey, maybe this esports thing, we'll give it a round or two. Let's see what happens with funding. I think as long as they can make a meaningful impact in not only their, in their conference, we see with Northeastern, and we'll see later on with even DePaul, like just taking over your region for a really long time tends to start to give you a little bit more credibility and the sort. So I'm excited. The future. Obviously I talked about it earlier, but we have a growing amateur system yet again. It is starting to kind of breathe life into some of the higher elos and the higher solo queue. So I'm always super excited when you start to see not only collegiate but also amateur kind of married hand in hand in terms of player growth.
I mean, it's exciting to see, honestly, just over the last couple of years, how much
Yeah.
collegiate esports has grown in general. When you're thinking of, varsity teams, how just a couple of years ago, I mean, you had like a baker's dozen, you could hold them in a hand kind of thing.
Yeah.
So to see as many new programs, whether or not they are funded, at least if the school is I don't
They
want to say
get they get to have
supporting.
one of the rooms. They get to have one of the
Yeah, right.
rooms.
They're
Here you
supporting
go.
it, as
Yeah.
much as I guess you can ask for before getting funded or having an official varsity program within your school. So it is exciting to see the growth that we have experienced over the last year or two in regards to just collegiate expanding and growing over time. And a lot of these players, you mentioned Hyper getting picked up. I mean, a lot of these players are incredible, and it's kind of devastating to think about how NA has always been called just kind of a talentless region, and then to see all these amazing, younger players, these teenagers who are coming up for being scouted from high school even,
Yeah.
which is super, super cool. Getting involved in their colleges and then immediately being able to move up to something like academy or to being on a B side of a team. So there's a lot of growth, a lot of really good stuff, and I love being so deep in this scene because I've been doing collegiate now for a while. Same thing to you, Alk. You've got a lot of experience and history in this scene, and so to watch it grow, it's like our baby. It's
Yeah,
becoming
I mean,
something.
I got my start with ULOL. I did ULOL for
Yeah.
University of Florida, so I remember always like kind of watching, and I was like, man, our team is so good. Why are we not just winning? And then you take a look at other teams, you're like, oh man, that's really broken. Gamers alike, we're getting into game now.
We are. We finally got it. Apparently, there was a pause immediately, so we had to hold off a little bit to get that resolved. We always hope that everyone has, zero issues. Oh my God, why would you make your name? What are we gonna call this top laner on GMU? What do we?
Okay, they have a name. We have. There is a whole sheet for this. There's a whole sheet for their names. Don't worry, we got this. I will grab that. I'm pretty sure. Wait, where is this? Anyway, for right now, Shen is looking.
Shen, yeah, right.
Holy, that is a name. There's always players that have like these kinds of names. I mean, I think of. Oh, what is this team? I literally was just looking at them today. Oh, MSU. Their mid laner is literally just like an assembly, a collection of letters.
Yeah.
And I always love when players do this because they're like, yes, let us just make it as hard as possible for us to be found.
Oh, now my sandwich.
It is flying hippo. No, wait. Oh,
flying
never mind.
Hippo.
Nope. That's just their name. It is just P. I'm not even gonna go for this. Is like a QR
that's
code.
what I saw it in. Yeah, I saw it in the Excel sheet that it is not an easy name to say. So P9
Okay.
Gans.
Speaking of the game,
we're gonna say Gans. It'll be Gans.
There we go. Okay, we can go with that. Looking at this, you take a look at this. We have a team that does really well into them. For GMU, I mean, you have a Nico and a Kindred, which will stop a lot of the burst. There's a lot of kill threat on the side of Northeastern, which I think if you can just even stall for maybe 10 seconds against this team, they lose a ton of steam. So I'm kind of excited here. GMU have kind of set themselves on the path for success in terms of a draft, kind of giving themselves some tools to really kind of kick it in overdrive once we get into team fights.
I like it. I like it a lot. I hate Kane. I've said this before. As an ADC player, safety. Come on, because it's always he's never on my team. He's never on my team. And both Blue Kane and Red Kane have been really powerful recently. Blue Kane usually used a little bit more often, but in this matchup, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw either here. That just a very strong potential for the GMU team there, but I like Northeastern's, so I mean I'm feeling confident in what we've got going on here.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a lot of burst opportunity for GMU. I'm just worried about this Kane because no matter what, Kane seems to come and just end whatever dreams I had begun dreaming.
Yeah, Kane actually, I think it's really interesting. Both junglers actually, Kindred is a really fun jungler that I think people have kind of slept on. Obviously, with the evolution of what jungling has become recently, I think that Kindred has kind of fallen a little bit to the wayside, but her win rate numbers are really nuts. Just across, she's actually a 4-way flex. I know it's a little bit weird. I've played Kindred bot lane a few times. It's really fun, but across
Really?
the board, she actually has a pretty decent win rate at like Plat Plus. So I'm always excited to see this champion come through. And like you're saying with the Kayn, I think it's super dangerous. It's a great matchup for the Kayn. As soon as he can hit blue, he can just immediately pop a lot of these champions. It's going to kind of be on him to find that kind of damage, because once they hit level 6, you put down the Lambs sight, a super broken ability. You have the Stand United as well, and Pop Blossom plus this Lulu. I mean, you can try and kill him, but there's just such a short window to do it.
There is, and there's a lot of push away. You've got the Condemn as well. We do have Stale Bagel going to jump in here, a flash away from Enrique there. A Condemn back on to ask for SoundCloud to flash forward there to pull them in. That is going to be First Blood going over the Kayn. The teleport coming through. Nuri is going to find one in response. Daze trying to get the last hits onto Nuri, but not going to be worth the chase at this point. She's going to have to give it up.
Oh my god, that was so close.
So
I wonder if Kindred ended up getting
this
the
might-
mark there.
See, just a little bit of back and forth. I was going to see if
Yes,
maybe
we're
try to
farming
follow
relic shield stats. Oh wait, there's a mid solo kill. He just solo killed him with Nico. You got the ignite down. Great job.
We didn't even
Great
see
job
that. That
to
was
Jinx
flash.
girlfriend.
Flash Ignite after the teleport was used there bottom.
Oh my god, wait, that's actually devastating if you're
Yeah.
Diana.
Yep.
Uh,
TP was used to engage on
yeah.
that bottom fight, and then she went down.
Oh my god, yeah, that is really, really dangerous. I mean, this is already not a fantastic matchup. Diana can almost never go in, as trying to
Ooh.
get a little bit of damage onto this. That Haymaker comes out. We get the replay.
Yeah.
Thank you, observers. TP's back to the lane. Oh my god, that's just like,
And
at that point, like, it's so painful.
And there's not much that can be done. You can see Elodius also using the flash at the last instant, probably immediately regretting it, saying, I'm not going to be able to get away from this Nico anyway. The stun is going to go down onto Daze, and that will be one more kill, and it will do it. The Blade Caller doesn't quite get anyone, but Stale Bagel is going to join the fight. That's Lafasa going down. Nuri will be the next target here, and that's going to be a blue buff handed right over to this Kayn.
Oh man. Okay. All right, GMU, guys, this is like one of those times when you're in call and you're just like, guys, please, just relax. Just like, we can literally do nothing and it would be fine. If we go even in our lanes, it is so good for us. It just makes it difficult. Diving this bot lane, I think, is incredibly dangerous. I mean, you just have set. You are also going up against a Xayah under turret. You don't have the Lambs or Spite. I think that this was just a little bit of a dangerous play. They end up getting completely blasted for it. I wonder if Nuri, we'll have to get a check on this. Kindred should be at 2 or 3 stacks right now, so already kind of fast tracking, but that, I think that is starting to bite them really hard when you look at just how far ahead Kayn is right now.
We'll see when we hover over to her. There we go. It is
She's
2
got
stacks
2.
right now. She has 2 stacks right now. Now we can see possibly GMU trying to go in here for Stale Bagel, but that's just going to be a recall scuttle picked up by GMU. So, hey, you know what? At least they're getting a lot of solid pressure. Kindred is 2-1-0. Yeah, they may have sacrificed a few kills over there, but 3 and 4 isn't horrible, and they're only half a K down in terms of gold. So, while it was, a super risky play, honestly, the biggest risk there is having a set in the bottom lane. Like, he's just going to be able to pull everybody back into tower, and that's exactly what happened there. So, that was the most dangerous part, but they're still doing well playing it. Jinx girlfriend here getting a ton of damage down onto Alonius.
Amogus? I'm sorry, I needed to make that joke. I needed to make the joke once. I'll never do it again. I'm sorry to everybody. Thank you for having me.
Get out of here.
I'm exactly, yeah. I'm a little bit worried here because this is also a new, we were on 11-9 for everybody at home. Obviously, we talked about Gwen and Viego being available. They were banned. Set also just got buffed on this patch. He is moving a little bit towards being more of a AD-focused bruiser, so not just building a bunch of tank stats and kind of just being a boring champion. But, I mean, it is meaningful, especially on the Haymaker. It makes it a little bit of a difference. As Nuri finds a really interesting kind of path through the jungle, avoids out on Stale Bagel, and is able to steal away on the Krugs. But that's just another
Vision
kill solo
Ward.
mid.
Yeah, another solo kill mid right there. Stale Bagel is actually going to pick that one up, and NEU, Northeastern, is going to turn around and start up on this dragon.
Yeah, and because of that, obviously they're going to have to make the trade here. Go for Rift Herald on the top side, pick up an Ocean Drake for themselves. And you think whatever soul, now with that being the Cloud Drake coming up next, we have an Infernal or an Ocean Soul or a Mountain Soul potentially, which I think can go really far in terms of providing a really
Not
good
a solo
for
kill.
either of these teams. Okay, it's a solo bolo
Okay,
for
yeah,
Jinx. And
yeah,
for GMU, it's a
it'll
solo
work.
bolo, but
It'll work, yeah. And that's, I mean, I feel like Nico is okay with that one. 2-1-0. That was her first death. And taking a look at the creep as well, 68 to 42. She's just been, I mean, completely oppressive to this Diana who just missed the cannon. But we're not gonna cover that for more than half a second.
you just did. You're bullying them, Jolly. He's trying.
It's rough. It's really rough. It is a tough lane, a tough matchup. I mean, behind 30 CS now in this lane, and that's with some attempted help from Stale Bagel. I mean, that's with Stale Bagel getting the first kill onto this Nico in general. So Northeastern at least very quickly responding, and a big part of that is Stale Bagel constantly being in the right place at the right time, able to retaliate on GMU, trying to initiate some fights.
Yeah, and if they continue to kind of hammer away at this mid lane, we'll have to see what Jinx or what this Nico's able to do, because Proto Belt did just get changed. It's a really dangerous item. Does a ton more damage. Took a little bit of HP off of it just to balance it, but if they can try and continue this mid dominance, they can maybe move this over, use this Rift Herald, and start to affect some of the other lanes. I'm looking really at this bot lane because it has not been the most even for GMU, and here we go on to mid lane.
Oh, it's gonna come out. Stale Bagel gets stunned up though, and now it is 3v2. Make that momentarily. Oh no, the Lamb's Respite comes out. Stale Bagel maintains it. Will he be able to get the kill? No, the shutdown comes through before enough damage is dealt to Nuri there. A successful fight, 2-0 for GMU.
And GMU doing really well here. They again, the team fight tools that we talked about earlier are coming on through really early. Nuri is there, he uses the ultimate, he's able to stop them. The shield from Stand United also makes it that much more difficult. And since they're already missing a ton of damage from the mid lane, they just lose out on this mid turret. So first turret going over to GMU, they're going to be able to pick up a nice spike of gold for themselves. And across the lanes, Northeastern needs to start feeling a little bit of pressure. They're the team that needs to be very aggressive. They need to be able to find these picks. So far, it's not really panning out for them.
Yeah, and there's success late game for both of these teams, though, you know, Flying Hippo not really having been able to participate in any of these fights. You do have that opportunity. The teleport is available from both the mid laner and the top laner there on the side of Northeastern, so some potential good opportunities to find a really solid fight or an advantageous fight for Northeastern, but you're absolutely right. They need to find more of a lead. They need to not get caught out so much in that mid lane. Just really, I mean, it makes it almost impossible. You're behind a couple of levels. Stale Bagel might be looking for something here, though. Lefsa is at level 5, and that's a level 8 Kane.
Yeah, we were giving the advantage over to Northeastern. Looks like they're going to just try and press the advantage. Alonius could be here. That's the ultimate out. TP's coming in.
Exhaust going on to Alonius there. Nuri is going to get jumped on here, popped up by the Scion and picked up there. The flash away from Liv Boston, the flash back in by Stale Bagel. The Haymaker is going to do a lot of damage, but the kill goes over to Northeastern. So that's going to be 2-0 here. We'll see if they try to continue this fight, though. They are caught behind this tower here. 2 members now, Nico and Vayne, still on the bottom side, and they're just going to go for some of these plates. And that was first tower down at 10 minutes, by the way, by GMU. Yeah. So all of the plates, the root coming through, the ultimate from Daze, and the flash back to get the blade caller. The Haymaker just barely going to miss. Daze takes yet another tower shot. Enrique is going to flash forward and take out that Xayah.
Oh man, the hand is too far in the cookie jar, guys.
It really
GMU
is.
and Northeastern, they get a little too antsy with that. They're like, okay, maybe we can go for one more. It's just Vayne. Surprise, it's Nico. Ends up coming out with the camouflage. That was a really good start for NEU, right? Like they go in, they take out some of the other members from the bot side, and they did a really nice rotation where they utilize the Scion TP, and then they get Diana to try and cover the top wave. And right there, I think that is kind of an inflection point for Northeastern. If they're not able to make that play work, then they just completely fall out of this game. You look across the lanes, Nico had already completed her Mythic. Same thing with Nuri already having the Gale Force. And you need to be able to keep the tempo up, kind of keep the pace of the game really fast if you're Northeastern. Find these kills, connect on them. Again, otherwise, I mean, with this mid turret going down so early, like you said, you start to lose a ton of camps on Kane. And earlier, he had a 20 CS lead in the jungle. Now, obviously, that started to evaporate thanks to him kind of having to force ganks around mid lane. But now with the Dragon up, I can't imagine GMU are going to be able to give this one up willingly.
Certainly our Northeastern's going to try to find a pinch here. Jinx girlfriend is in the bush. The
Oh
ultimate
my
is going to
God.
be using so much damage onto Stale Bagel. That's going to be a single kill over to Nico. The stun down on a Flying Hippo who flashes over directly into Nico. Now the Showstopper is running through on the backside there. Nuri finds another kill though. GMU find a lot of success. They're going to continue to chase this fight. Daze is the next target here. The stun is going to miss, but that is a lot of damage coming from Jinx girlfriend. Polymorph onto Alone Us and just a little bit of damage to push those two back. And that is another dragon. This one for free going over to GMU.
Okay, Kari, I need whatever Kari's got in the back.
Yeah, right?
Whatever she's got that she knew about
Yeah,
GMU.
right.
You know, we'll be real revision. I'm willing to be real revisionist if it helps my
Yes,
opinion.
Absolutely.
So I always had the faith. We'll get the replay on this.
I always had
and
the
you get
faith.
to see
Hold on. You can...
Exactly. You know, I told you it was gonna be revisionist. Now, still Bagel, he doesn't know that the Nico's in there, and so really great positioning. So far, GMU have done a really fantastic job of just controlling vision. You see already, a lot of this is just littered with blue wards, and they're not allowed to do this. And again, these are just byproducts of that mid lane going down so early. They're not able to gain priority in mid lane. They're not able to kind of contest for vision and end up kind of biting them there. So GMU 10-7, they're about 3,500 gold. They have a little bit of a lead here, but with Nico backing right now and with all of the resources that GMU just spent, wonder if they're going to try and take control. You see that already. Kane is in topside. He's trying to get whatever camps he can and has a few minutes, potentially could go for this Rift Herald with the bot lane already rotated over.
See, it does look like he might try to help out Sion here on the top side, though. That is
we're ganking Sion. Let's go. This is good. Love it.
Everybody's moving up. That blast cone was used there by the set. Nuri is going to be jumped on here. The ultimate there expended, and in response, Lamb's Respite comes out. The wild growth onto Kindred. As for SoundCloud, taking some damage there from the tower on the backside. Daze is going to use the ultimate, and then the Nico in response. The Blade Caller picks up nobody. That's going to be yet another kill going over to Nico, who really needs it right now, doesn't she?
Jolly, this is heartbreaking now. They are just like, guys, we need to fight for something. And they're going to be able to get the Rift Herald here. We're going to be able to watch this over again. I mean, I'm going to just sound like a broken record. This matchup is fine for Kindred as long as she can just survive. And this right here is just like the epitome of what this team comp does. She's literally 25% HP, and she got the wild growth, she got the ult heal, she got a shield as well. No one's able to put out this damage, and then Daze has to just be in this really awkward position where, I mean, just in general, I think Xayah was going to have an issue here. She doesn't really like going forward. She likes when you're able to play back, let her, feathers really take control of the map. So seeing it first case in point there, it's so difficult to execute here for NEU.
It definitely is, and not just that, but I will say the positioning hasn't been fantastic on top of it. You want to stay back, but she really hasn't been positioning to do so, to be successful in doing so and going a little too far forward. I mean, we saw that fight at the bottom tower where both teams lost a few members. I mean, just kind of sitting behind the tower waiting for minions to approach instead of trying to find a more comfortable position. And now we can see 3 members here going to jump in onto Enrique, the showstopper, going onto the backside. SoundCloud's going to take too much damage, though. Stale Bagel has to flash forward. Daze is the next target, the heal coming down. The Fossa is going to go in, and the flash forward, and a double kill over to Kindred. Stale Bagel gonna go alongside that wall and just barely get out before the Lulu joined the fight.
Yeah, I want to say, we've been talking about Nuri, Jinx, or the Nico here. Gans, the Shen here, has done a fantastic job. I think I might have to hold that as they're gonna make this play into Alonis. That's one.
Stale Bagel going down. Another double kill going over to Nuri, and Flying Hippo will be the next target here for members. And Shelly, or Kelly, I don't know what her.
It's the second one.
The second,
so
yeah.
I think it's Shelly and Harold.
Shelly and Harold. Wow, whatever. Flying Hippo is going to get engaged on the Nico ultimate coming out again, and the polymorph onto Flying Hippo means that is going to be yet another kill going over to GMU. Now 10 kills up, and they are going to ride. I'm going to call her Kelly. They're going to ride Kelly up to the next tower.
Yep, they're just cashing in on this gold, and so far, I mean, the game is almost completely out of NEU's hands. At this point, they would require GMU to really have a really big throw there, and while the top laners have not really had too much action, specifically for Flying Hippo, I think Gans has really just been a really great role player. I say that, And yet another solo kill occurs. So Alonis is able to kill the Lulu. I don't think that's going to mean much in the grand scheme of the game, but really great job. Now, Stale can find this. That's the...
Or
the
not,
barbs.
or can also
No.
not, because that is a Nico right there.
This hurts my soul. Okay, now I'm in pain. You were talking about that Kane. Kane is the champion that like hurts your soul.
No, and there's the ultimate coming out from the Diana, but it's not going to work because Nuri was right there in the bush. You can't make those plays unless you know where the jungler is at. Now on the top side, the taunt going over on the Flying Hippo. You're going to get a little pop-up in response, but just some back and forth pings coming out that this set might be moving up to try to assist here. The Blast Cone utilized to get closer to this fight. And SoundCloud will incorporate himself into this one. It is no longer a 1v1 Ignite going down onto the Shen, who is going to emote a thumbs up here. Because, you know, they made it out and away. Vayne is here, but so is Kane back. The Showstopper is going to walk him right into the wall there, and Flying Hippo will pick up that kill. So 1-4-0, but it took 3 members there to take down.
Jolly, that is the ye old caster curse right there.
Yeah,
I'm just like, yes, Cans, you're doing so well. And then he gets killed by 3 members. Oh, I'll give him an applaud though. He did he did well for himself, able to pull a ton of people over. He's able to help his team secure. Yeah, just does help his team secure the Mountain Drake, which I don't know if we'll get to a soul point. It would basically just need for both teams to kind of ping pong waves for a few minutes, which could happen. But Stale Bagel and NEU, they're looking to try and clear out their side of the jungle, try to contest for vision. It's so dangerous to try and face check some of these champions like we saw.
This is Nuri's specialty. I mean, we've seen so many times Nuri just sitting in a bush and waiting to aggress, and there we can see a nice vision ward from Alonas or Alonius.
Is that in the bush? I don't think that's in the bush.
It's not in the bush. It is just outside of the bush. Oh, no, it is actually outside of the bush, so not quite good vision there. And I mean, you've still got this split up in the top where Sion and Shen are just kind of going at it. This has been happening over and over again, and it just really depends on what team decides to get there first. We can see some pings coming out from
Shen is dying. Shen is winning this. He's going to 1v1 him.
Shen is going to 1v1 him, still almost at full health right here. Flash is down from the Sion up top, so we'll see who gets there in time as the recall might be through with the help from Stale Bagel.
Yeah, they're taking. I mean, this is really good play from GMU. They're not only fighting topside so that Sion has to force to back. They can then push this wave in, and like you see here, they're just taking complete control of the jungle. As that's Nico.
And once again, it's going to be a bush play there. And as Zonia's at the same time as that Blade Caller, we're going to get the Stand United as well. The taunt on Az for SoundCloud. Now too much damage, and that's going to be a double kill going over to Enrique. Oh, they're going to continue the fight here. Alonas will be the next target. Nuri finds yet another one, and that's the ultimate coming out from Sion.
Oh, that's just a FF. I heard. There we go. Okay, I heard an ally. You know, the enemy team has like lost, or you know, like the sound effect. They've FF'd. So GMU, they win. They take a rather decisive team fight. They have a really great comp into NEU, and they smash.
They FF'd. They FF'd. Okay, so not only were we wrong, and not only so far has this Kari been right.
Yes.
But to FF first game that we've had to cast, I mean, that was just over 20 minutes. Yes, it was a big disparity in terms of gold, but my goodness, to FF in game number 1 here, I mean, that's I gave it a lot of credit over to the other team, I guess. That's a bold play almost. Like, and
if I'm their mid jungle, I'm saying we're saving mental for game 2, guys. Please, we need to save mental, save us, get ready for game 2. It's just like that's a really tough kind of spot to put yourself in. That is definitely one of those comps where you're looking at the coach. Coach says, "Okay, look, you need to be like 4,000 to 5,000 gold ahead at 15-minute mark, or we're going to have some problems." And actually was the other way around, where they were really far in the hole. And every time they made plays, it just felt like they weren't able to connect. Some of the members weren't able to kind of come together in time. And some of that coordination was a little bit off. So it sucks. It is the first game. It's our first start here for the, you know, call it a collegiate championship. But, you know, we do have more games. It is a best of 3, so not quite out. Their dreams of, you know, rising to top 16 are not quite dashed yet if you're on the side of Northeastern. But definitely a hard game to play game 1.
I mean, I guess, you know, I definitely I can see saving the mental. The gold disparity wasn't as big as it was, at an early point in the game. But I mean, the jungle and the mid laner there on the side of GMU. I wouldn't be surprised if we get either Nico or Kindred or both banned out, because that
So you
was
type in all
my
chat
guess.
GG jungle diff
Yep.
if you're the mid lane.
Yeah, if you're a toxic mid laner, yes, you would say that at the end there.
You gotta speak some banter. It happens. You guys, some of these players, they have really good personalities. I wouldn't be surprised. Also, you could even just say it in your team chat. I think it'd be really funny. It depends on how you say it, but that is game one.
Game number one
That
already.
was definitely super one-sided, and I know that probably Kari and Ravish are sitting on the desk, kind of just laughing at me.
Kari's. I
always knew.
Ravish. Talk crap. So we do have a nice little interview here for you guys. I believe it is with GMU, George Mason University. I don't know if it's a player or coach, but we're gonna go break it down because somebody else took care of this one for me.
Here, and I'm joined by the ADC of George Mason University, Enrique Alvarez. So, Enrique, first off, thank you for joining me here for this brief interview. Hope things have been going well for you. Are you excited for this weekend?
Yes, I am very excited. Thank you for having me here.
Great. Well, thank you again.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you again for joining us. So first off, we did notice here, I did take a look here through the information you supplied us, and you said you were born in Peru and then eventually moved to the United States, I'm assuming, as you grew up. So when did you move? What was that transition like for you, going from Peru to the U.S.?
So when I moved here, I was about 5 years old, so it wasn't too difficult. I was caught in the middle of learning 2 languages, so I kind of stuck with English for the most part.
Sure. Okay. Very, very simple, very, very nice. So being able to at least keep that bilingual background a little bit, that's something that you feel like is key or core to you, or something that you maybe speak with your family, but then speak English elsewhere, or is it just kind of a back and forth, whatever fits your fancy at that moment?
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with both. I can speak both at a given time with family or here, just English.
Cool. Fantastic. So when you did start playing with GMU, some of your teammates found you in solo queue through the use of the GMU club tag. Rest in peace, club tags.
Right.
How did that affect the team environment as you were either recruiting new players or gaining new members to the team? Did it, obviously it seems like it's helping you succeed, but how has that felt as a player and as a team?
So, initially we all kind of like knew of each other, but we never knew each other personally. It's like, oh, hey, I go to your school. But once we actually came together, like, well, we're playing in this competition, we all go to the same school, why not, right? So once we got to know each other, it was a bit awkward at first, but once we got to know our personalities and we meshed pretty well, we liked playing with each other, then it was we were grateful that one of us had the GMU tag and we were able to show off that we went to the same school.
That does make a lot of sense. And speaking of your teammates, tell me a little bit about your teammates. In a few words, what would you say, about the other members here on your team and even your coach?
All right. Well, going down the line, it would be for top. I would say he's probably the most energetic, maybe the most positive. When things go wrong, maybe in a game, he's usually still focused on winning. Nothing can distract him. For jungle, he's usually the one with the main game plan. He has the most experience playing at a high level, and so we kind of try to play to his game plan. It's kind of the main secondary shot caller. For mid, he's also pretty experienced, pretty up there in the ladder, and so we kind of try to play around him as well. He's a really funny guy, and so he's always making jokes while we're playing in game, so that's always cool. For support, he's very quiet. He doesn't talk very much, but he puts his own input and necessary information whenever needed, so that's good. I am also kind of a shot caller. I have my voice on the team as to what we should do in a given time of game. But yeah, I'm kind of in the middle, and we don't actually have a coach, so there's no one to fill that.
Okay, that's actually an interesting thought here to keep in mind moving into CLOL and through the round of 32 and potentially round of 16 and further is just how that could affect the team. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that and on GMU as we move forward. Last question here before we send it back to the desk. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no, and why?
Well, I would have to go with yes, but it's a family thing. My family actually likes it. I don't prefer it, but I can tolerate it. So I think it's not bad. And if they want to order their kind of pizza, I just want some pizza, so I'll take it.
That sounds good. I see you are a man of culture as well with the I personally agree with it, but let us know in the chat what you guys feel about pineapple on pizza, if it's a great thing or if it's a disgusting thing. Love to see that reaction. Thank you again, Enrique, for joining us. Good luck here in the weekend moving forward here through CLOL. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hello, everybody.
And welcome back, everybody, to the desk. I have Kari Wave and Dimitri Akbari Toledo with me. I gotta say your name, like the full thing, every single time, because I feel like if I didn't, I'm doing you a disservice, personally, Dimitri. This is because all of us got like
name. You have a longer name than I do.
I know, but like at least like my at least but name is this. So I'm fine. I'm still gonna recognize you. I gotta be like. It's like, because like no one wants to be called Alkaline Battery the entire day, right? It's like,
but that's not even my name. My name is just, we do a little short. You can call me Alk. It's fine. It happens. You're Ravish. I would assume that we've been friends for a while. We can be on a first name. It's fine.
You mean it?
I'll allow it.
Oh, yes. Live on stream. You can't take it back. I have proof for it. So there you go.
Oh,
delete the VOD. Delete the stream. Delete the stream. No clips. No clips. No clips allowed. Speaking about this game, though. Speaking about this first game for GMU. This was it was a huge draft gap. I'm sorry. Great job for GMU. I think they did a fantastic, they did a really great job of identifying what Northeastern wanted to do. And we just saw throughout the game, time again, it was like, Kane is like, guys, I really want to kill them. And, Kindred and Kindred, Lulu, they're just like, yeah, no, that's not happening.
I don't think so. Yeah, no. You got the old Lulu buffs turning Vayne into like basically a tiny little like machine gun and just going at everybody. That's pretty horrifying, to be honest, especially if that lane gets like one kill and gets rolling, suddenly your spirit just cracks into. I can't imagine what that even does to your mental.
Save mental. We have to save mental now.
Yeah,
this draft, honestly, I want to say had a lot of what I like to call no. You want to dive in? No, because Kindred ult too. Set ultimate, showstopper. No, the show stops right here, actually. Because I could just Shen ult onto you. Just immediate no's from across the board from GMU, like you mentioned, Dimitri, right? It's so much of what they want, so much of what Northeastern wanted to do was completely denied, and we saw it in this game, especially with the Kindred pickup, right? When you pick up a Kindred, you're thinking, hey, I'm gonna need lane priority from y'all, so like I can get things done and get my marks down. And Nico and Shen were like, we'll see about that. But then Nico goes 7-1 in the game, and you're thinking, okay, wow, things worked out absolutely beautifully. I'm
solo killed her.
Okay.
I mean, like the Jinx girlfriend ends up solo killing a couple times in mid lane, makes it really difficult to play. Top lane is literally just tank gameplay. It's just like 2 wet noodles at that point. We're gonna ignore that part. And I think there's a lot of really cool situations where you look at GMU's composition and you're like, okay, well, you have Vayne and Kindred who can try to itemize and try to face up against the tankier members in like the Scion and the Set. You have Lulu who can also disable them with polymorphs and make it so difficult for you to dive. And again, we just saw it again. They got a really nice lead, and all of that I think just stems from that mid lane. As soon as that goes down, you have basically very little agency to kind of like wiggle some kind of gold lead for yourself.
And we were talking about before, GMU was mentioning about how they're really working on the early game to make that a lot better, to be able to, don't just funnel them into a back end play where they have to kind of funnel the resource in mid game and try to make plays to be able to make up for all the goal they lost. Right, I'm looking at it here, Kari. Right, it's just the early game looked just so good. The way they play around each all the laters. I'm just genuinely impressed at how many dives they were able to execute consistently. Be like, and yeah, once it's fine, once get out okay, and free kills for us, like pretty much.
Yeah, even sabotaging dives. I'm sure everybody saw that Zanya's Kane dive in bot lane was really that was a fun yakety sax moment for everybody to be like, the reverse dive, like, haha, I've got you. So I mean, GMU really did just have this one on lock, and I think that especially plays like that demonstrate a team that is like, I think we're on to the next. Like, I think that they had let that game go pretty much at that point. So I
mean,
just,
they
you know what
FF'd
I
it,
mean?
so
Like they did
FF
FF,
at 20, so
that's not
it
necessarily
happens.
baseless speculation on their part. And you know what? It's actually okay to start over, start anew, especially when I'm just gonna say it, like the Kane didn't have a chance from the outset. There was never any way that Kane was ever going to get ahead with that Kindred on the map. So
yeah,
it's super discouraging to get bested in draft like that, especially against a team like GMU that understands team fight mechanics so intimately, which one could argue inextricably is connected to the draft. So if Northeastern can try to get into the head of their enemies and think about those team fights, which will be the key to actually beating GMU, or out rotating them. So you're either going to run or you're going to fight, and you have to commit to either one of these things. So those are your options.
Kari, I love the options. It's either you have to play the game, or you just have to like psychically download their mental and then like play like warfare in all chat. Understandable.
Just get Evelyn.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, well, I don't have a ward, so is she in my lane or she's not? Like, I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah, it's all psychological warfare at that point. I think Northeastern can probably do it, but I don't know if they have the prowess to go head to head in those repeated team fights. So we'll see if they do have it. We've been surprised before. That obviously wasn't their best, and I think that we'll see something new out of them this time, hopefully.
Yeah, Dimitri, looking at you right now as well, right? It's what do you think it takes for Northeastern now to be able to bounce back besides, champions that they can play in the game effectively and not just get shut down so very early on, right?
Yeah, I think the thing that I would want to see is what happens with the mid lane pool. Obviously, we got to see one side of the matchup where it is literally just GMU's mid laner kind of taking over the game. I want to see a little bit more out of Alonius, even if that means like, hey, you might just have to play set mid, which is fine. You can hold the wave. You're good into a lot of control mages. I think it's a reasonable matchup. It allows for them. You can also then play for your jungler, and I think that then kind of opens up a couple of other play patterns that I think if you go to that game, you kind of plug and play some different variables. We may have a different game on our hands, just a few. And even top lane, I think that there's some really interesting ways that I think Flying Hippo answered what GMU wanted to do, but obviously, you're Scion, there's very limited amount of things you can do, especially with the composition that you've been given. So I want to see what the solo laners here for this team can kind of provide.
1,000%. Now, with all that being said, we're going to cut it to a very, very short break. And when we come back, we'll have game number 2 and possibly the final game in this series between GMU and Northeastern. Y'all won't touch that mouse, but we're going to see you soon. I'm watching you.
Well,
We're back.
We're back. And we saw the draft. I'm currently writing it down, and you want to take this, Elk? You want to explain what
Yeah,
this
all I've got to say is after looking at this draft with a little bit more intellect and a little bit more just safety for the audience, I'm going to recommend everybody please put on a face mask. Because this draft is not safe for consumption.
Not even the draft. It's not even the draft. It's what happened with the draft, and it's Northeastern.
There is no side swap. There is no side swap. So we will see GMU on the blue side yet again. They first picked themselves Diana, which is funny because obviously they're taking it away from Melonius. But
little flex there.
Apparently, as I was told, this could change, but they did not swap in time for the side of Northeastern, and they said, we'll play it out. So when we get into the game, everybody, which will be in the next 30 to 45 seconds, everybody will see the gloriousness that is this Northeastern Cup. If they're able to win this one,
there's no.
I don't want to reveal it. It's one of those things. Oh, we're seeing it on screen. There it is, gamers.
There's just no way that they're gonna be. I mean, how do they make this work? How do they make this work?
They've got a Lee Sin. Okay. Here's the thing. I've been playing a ton of normal games recently. Haha, very funny. Plot solo queue, whatever. Lee Sin solo lane has been popping up. Now, I know Pabu from the Oceanic region, from Pentanet, has been playing a little bit of Lee Sin solo lane. He's able to get a solo kill on Darius, most famously on Twitter recently. Uh-oh.
It's intentional.
What's up?
It is not a swap issue. It is not a swap issue. We've been told, don't call it that.
It feels like a swap issue.
I got you, Nickelback here. Okay, yeah, no, I'm keeping it because it felt like a swap issue. It's not a swap issue, guys. This is intentional. This is and then they paused the game. Hold on, Nickelback. Hold on. I don't want to quote. Well, I mean, I can quote you. I don't want to quote you, but
okay.
We'll see what happens.
Lee Sin, if he's able to get if Lee Sin is able to get a ton of resources, maybe there are some squishy members. I think that it is a little bit of a tall task to ask Lee Sin to have a fun time versus Rakan and Diana and Varus, but I will hold judgment until we see the game. However, this is definitely a very unconventional draft, and one that is definitely very wonky because you've got Senna and Corki who are going to be your long range. You've got Karma who can shield them. I think like in different places, this may be actually like a really decent draft. I think there's some redeeming qualities. Karma has a fun time into Shen. I don't know how much he's going to want to be shielding. And also with the changes that we actually just saw to a bunch of the support mythics and items, we'll get to see some of the new stuff. Moonstone got changed to increase heal and shield power. So Karma is just like the queen again.
Right. Yes. That's
and staff is just gone. This item is so meh.
Moonstaff. So it was Moonstaff before. Moonstone Renewer and Staff of Flowing Water. It was so OP. It was so broken. You would run it on basically any sort of caster,
anyone who could,
or honestly any support in general. Yeah, not even a caster. So, yes. So Moonstone is kind of back in it. Staff of Flowing Water, not quite as much. It is still a solid combination, though. I will say that. I mean, in terms
you get ability power and ability haste. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that.
In terms of support items, in terms of support items, it's definitely the best. One of the best choices that you can possibly get here. But I mean, from what I'm seeing and hearing, it is intentional. And of course, somebody's like,
Thank
so
you.
GMU won draft again then. So if it wasn't,
I will say
intentional.
It is so left field, this Northeastern draft, that I will say that I don't know if they won, but they certainly have given themselves a very big leash to win this game on the side of GMU.
Yep. But I mean, it's not even they didn't give it to themselves there at that point. You know, it depends on how this all works out. I love me some Volibear. I absolutely love it. Nuri, though, being on the Diana, and we saw how well Nuri navigated the map, responded to ganks, and really just incorporated himself into every single fight possible as that Kindred. With this Diana, he's going to have the same kind of opportunities. And so, you know, that's It still seems like a tough matchup for me. That bottom lane is going to be the most difficult one, though, in general, I think, unless Stale Bagel decides to really hang out down there and make sure that SoundCloud doesn't get picked up.
I mean, he is asking for SoundCloud. They are asking for it. They got to ask for it. I will, there's a few things here for Northeastern. Their bot lane basically operates like a kill lane. There's a ton of poke, like you see with Senna here. They're going to actually start the safeguard, and you're just seeing with Senna's long range and with how much shielding that Lee Sin is going to be able to provide in the early game, it is very difficult for them to do this. So they've gone for a little bit of a defensive start. You see the D shield there for Lee Sin. He knows, like, I'm not going to be able to farm all that much once a couple more abilities are scaled here for GMU, but there is some kill threat. You have a lot of dangerous things. You have a ton of dive with not only, the Volibear and the Lee Sin, but supportive champions like Senna and Corki make it very easy for them to do this.
And you've got, this is the fasting Senna as well. And honestly, even with, that's certainly not a concern, SoundCloud not having a concern of getting these minions. We can see that they've had the lane push. So as long as they don't push this too far in and allow that freeze to come through from GMU towards their own tower, then he can still maintain this advantage. And that fasting Senna is just going to get increased range and make things really difficult for the rest of this team. Just some back and forth though, but once you get a few items, it's going to be really difficult here for the two of them to kind of maintain this pressure and stay alive. Once you got the ultimate from Rakan with the charm, there's not a ton of escapability from both Senna and Lee Sin there. So that's more of where my concern comes through.
Yeah, I feel like this is more of like a counter engage composition. They're there to throw the second punch after you go in, right? Like Rakan goes in, and then Lee Sin kicks him out and keeps him out from finding an engage. And after a couple of those ultimates are used, maybe they try to, connect the top and support to when they want to go in with the Stand United. They just say, hey, we'll wait out your cooldowns, and as soon as those are gone, then we can find the re-engage. We can go for something. We can go for that left hook that we're looking for. We'll come back to this in a few minutes, and maybe like 10 to 15 minutes when Senna builds items, but I wonder what item she's going to build. I know it's obvious that for a lot of people they would be building Kraken Slayer, but there is a world where she goes Frostfire. And I'm not the biggest fan of this build, but it is so annoying to deal with. She's so tanky, and the amount of slows she provides, it's disgusting. We'll start to see Northeastern. They'll say hi. Still Bagel will give a little bit of a wink towards bot lane.
Timing. That was such good timing. They threw, so that was a ward that was thrown in the tri-bush as Volibear was making his way down towards that for a gank. So incredible timing there. GMU saving themselves a potential dive, and I mean, had the flip gone through, it probably would have been first blood going over to Northeastern. So not only saving themselves there, but a little bit of wasted time from the Volibear means that they're doing even better.
Yeah, and right now, with how Volibear wants to operate, he's just like the cheese level 3 ganker. They really haven't found too much success with that. They're just cycling camps, and Diana, who has one of the faster clears, has just recently gotten buffed on this patch, has found a ton of success in a solo lane. She's saying, okay, well, as long as my lanes aren't being pressured, I don't need to worry about that. I say that as going right onto Gans.
Stale Bagel comes in, the stun is going to go down, the flash away from Gans, and Stale Bagel is going to find the auto there to get the first blood. Northeastern making this comp work.
Awesome. Able to find an early kill. Most importantly there, that it goes on to Stale Bagel. You really don't want to give a karma. She can do great if she's going to go for an AP build, maybe it's fine, but kind of just pressuring at this point. Nuri trying to cover the top lane, maybe seeing if they want to go for a dot, considering how large that wave is. That is a huge crash onto them.
Little pop up there from Rakan. Day's taking quite a bit of damage here. SoundCloud, though, is taking the aggro, and that's pretty low on mana for Enrique there. So just a little bit of back and forth, nothing too crazy. Still all summoner spells maintained down on that bottom side.
Man, that was... I'm just trying to take a look at like Nuri and what they're doing in bot lane right now, because I mean, that was a pretty dangerous trade for them. Like, they got a ton of damage onto Senna. She has to blow through some of her biscuits, which is just a positive trade there for GMU if you're looking at it. And while Nuri was just trying to cover his top lane, he's still just eating away at camps. Stale Bagel is going to be a little bit behind when it comes to gold. He's already taken his first back, so able to cash in on that. But once Nuri backs, like, that is either going to be a full boots completion with something like, recurve bow, or, I mean, really the options are just all over the place here for GMU, and they're taking it rather slow. It's a small goal deficit because of the first blood, but if you're GMU, you're saying,
No.
cool.
Okay. No, it
Backseat
was.
in that one.
Wow, I'm so surprised that was an actual recall by Stale Bagel there. I mean, there's no ultimate available, but I still kind of thought that was good positioning there because Enrique and LaFasa were relatively far forward, but it was a committed recall there from Stale Bagel.
This is already a slower game from last game. I'm feeling it, you know, like the
last game ended at 20 minutes, okay?
Yes, that is true. There's also like 6 different dives that went on, so you know, that happens.
A lot of kills.
Right now, Nuri was like, Stale Bagel, I feel like you were here, brother. I will take your position. I will also back in this bot lane brush.
Yeah, but with it, you know, with Northeastern pushed so far back, it's definitely worth it. When Stale Bagel was there, it was almost the same positioning, and so there was a huge opportunity for a pinch, and it wasn't there. Whereas Nuri just didn't have the opportunity.
I will say the thing that makes a difference here is they needed Nuri to come over and fix this wave, because as it is right now, it is going to slowly build. Volibear is making his way over. Alonius also has the package available to them, so if they can continue this, or maybe start to build up a little bit of a larger wave with this next one coming up, this is a potential dragon play coming up for Northeastern in the next few minutes.
Flying Hippo doing a lot of damage. Nuri now towards the top side, but there are some pings as Stale Bagel encounters Jinx's girlfriend here towards the mid side. Uh-oh.
Heyo. Whoa, usually my camera does this. Usually
I know,
my camera's the one that's doing this. That happens. We're just having some technical issues.
I feel the same way. Mine does that way more often than I would care to admit. It hasn't today, though, so fingers crossed, knock on wood, that kind of thing.
Yeah, actually, same, please, because my camera
knock on
does
that thing behind you.
where...
Just knock on the thing behind you. Knock.
There we go. I had to take some boards from outside. It happens. But some technical issues. We'll try to get that underway and solved as soon as possible for everybody. But a pretty standard early game from both of these teams. Definitely what we were expecting maybe in game 1, but this time around, Northeastern, they're saying, hey, let's just play it a little bit slow. We have some good scaling elements. Let's just, we don't have to, you know, throw the brick at the wall at full speed.
And it's probably a good thing that they are sort of taking their time with this one, especially based on the fact that they have a lot of pressure, and they have been maintaining priority, whether or not their champions have it. Northeastern has been doing an exceptional job of pushing the wave in the early game, and then as we can see there towards the end, not allowing Nuri to come in and assist because they froze the lane too far in for Varus, for the Varus and the Rakan to actually be able to creep. So at that point, with a fasting Senna as it is, you're going to give Lee Sin as much creep as possible. That's a really good thing for Northeastern. And picking up that first blood onto the Volibear, yeah, you've got slower clears. You've generally got, slower engages there from that Volibear, but it was still a successful gank. But clearly everyone
It's a modified Flash Bear Slap.
Yeah, there you go. But clearly jungle vision, keeping an eye on your lane and where priority is at and things like that has been more prevalent in this game for both teams, because we've seen probably close to 5 attempted ganks overall, and I think only 1 or 2 of them actually work. So not a ton of time wasted by the junglers, though. It's nothing at all to their fault. It's just you can tell that there's a lot more conscientious thinking going on about, okay, where might the jungle be here? They don't want to be getting caught out like Kindred was catching everybody out in the last game.
I will say, Nuri had, again, some really, really creative pathing in the early game. We saw it when they just barely avoid Stale Bagel, who's sitting in the Raptor bush. He's trying to find something to try and find a gank in the mid lane, and you just see him path through the red ramp, goes right into Krugs, takes the Krugs, and then is able to gank in the top side. You don't have as much agency to do that on someone like Diana, who really can only dash onto certain targets. You can put the Moonlight on them if you want to double dash, but it doesn't have that same like dance of arrows as someone like Kindred. So Nuri having to be a little bit more traditional, a little bit more conventional in how they want to gank. And I think that is, kind of providing a little bit of a stopgap measure here for Northeastern. You don't have to worry about suddenly, oh man, I didn't completely have my entire jungle entrances warded, and suddenly like someone is behind one of my laners.
And let's kind of talk about the damage spread too. Well, I guess, hey, looks like we are back in on things.
They're taking dragon.
There's a lot of AD
Oh,
from both sides.
Sam
Stale
United.
Bagel trying to get this one. The root is going to land, and it will be taken there by Stale Bagel, who uses the ultimate. The Stormbringer coming out. Gans is the target here. Stale Bagel gets rooted down, and that's going to be a red buff going over to Enrique on the backside. Alonus gets popped up there by Jinx's girlfriend, who uses the ultimate on that engage. The charm there
Nice.
from Rakan on the backside will get Alonus taken out here. And now it is a bit of a run, as these 4 members are a tiny bit too low to really engage on this fight. But I think would that ended up being a 1-for-1, or was that just a 2? It was a 2-0 for GMU, I think.
Yeah, so they do end up killing. Nuri
Falling
goes down
and
there
then
to hold
Alona.
that.
Oh,
Uh-oh,
and as we say it, SoundCloud has to flash away, and then gets the heal from Daze. No way, Enrique with the arrow is going to find the kill. We can see there it was a nice attempt at the W from Senna, but it ends up hitting the Raptor camp there instead of going back and hitting whoever was on the back line. So a nice
That's
pickup there from
unfortunate.
GMU.
Yep, they pick up a ton of kills there, and GMU, I think that fight right there kind of shows us some of the really unique things that come from these team competitions that we have. We get to see that as soon as Rakan wants to go in, they have the Stand United, but Senna says, no, you're gonna just, you're gonna be rooted. We can take the fight really, really slow. And where GMU starts to really kind of find their footing is when they're connecting with the certain members. I mean, Nuri and Jinx taking care of the mid lane, making it a split fight. If Northeastern are able to kind of come together as 5 units and come over to the drag, not only take it, but then take the fight to the bot lane, that might have a completely different look, but GMU smartly kind of just take the fight in different areas, make it a small microcosm of a bunch of different skirmishes. And Northeastern, they kind of bite off a little bit more than they can chew. That was the story of last game as well. We're starting to see some of it kind of echo into this game.
Though a lot slower. I mean, we've got 0.1k, no, essentially same gold, maybe 100 difference in between these two. So much closer on kills. I mean, at 10 minutes before, GMU had already gotten the first tower of the game, and now we've got to jump in onto Alonius, who's going to try to dash backwards. Jinx's girlfriend is going to get the kill, and thanks to Yone being Yone, is able to dash out without losing his life.
Oh man, that's so disgusting. And it's going to make this game, again, that much harder that Jinx's girlfriend is alive. I mean, the one thing that Northeastern really struggle with is when people jump into the back line immediately, since they don't have a lot of kind of point-and-click CC. I'll hold that. They're going to try and make this play, try to get something across the map here.
Last
that should
embrace
just be Gans going
Daze,
down.
yeah, it's just going to be Gans going down. Nice last embrace there from Daze to get the lockdown.
I love Senna. Senna's a really great AD carry. I will say she was a bit overtuned for a while, as most champions on release are, but yeah. I love her soul mechanic, and it is definitely... I like playing Senna. The problem is my team doesn't usually like playing with Senna, especially in solo queue.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate, because Senna is very fun, and she is very prevalent right now. A little bit of flexibility, though. Most often, she is taken as a fasting Senna in the current meta, and it's incredibly strong. She does a great amount of damage. You're just able to sit so far outside of the fight. Occasionally, I mean, depending on how far you get along with it and how many souls you're able to pick up, you can even get towers from outside of the range and do a lot of damage in terms of objectives and really helping your team in that sense. So, not, maybe not people's favorite champion to play, but I think she's incredibly fun and very, very viable right now, helping with objectives and team play in general.
Yeah, I mean, she provides heal. She has a great shield. Also really great in split pushing when you have allies who are doing it, because obviously you can just shoot the ultimate over to the other side of the map. I'm going to, we're about a minute before the second Drake. They're going to continue to try and cash in on these turrets, as Northeastern, they're trying to get a little bit of that stand-in gold, saying, hey, we need to pick up gold where we can. We need to get into some of these members, because at this point, like, they're starting to sweat a little bit. Enrique won't quite have as much damage on this Varus because he has the mirror mana, doesn't have a ton of damage as well, but it looks like they're rearing for a fight. They want Jinx to kind of step out of bounds. They do have the ultimate here, but this might be a tough ask.
They're going to find the stun from Stale Bagel onto Jinx, and that's going to be a re-engage there.
Oh.
Your fate has been sealed as that comes out. Next is the ultimate from Daze, who flashes back. As for SoundCloud, is getting pinched out potentially by Enrique, so has to go around the long way on this. The root from Flying Hippo's Mantra W is going to get a little bit more damage onto Gans, but it is currently 2v5. Lee Sin having to take the long way around there. Last Embrace will hit, but it won't be enough as Yone, again, is just able to do Yone things and escape with his life.
Oh my god, there's no, we're gonna continue going for it.
In, Chains of Corruption, Nuri is going to find one. The second goes down to Enrique, and a nice re-engage from GMU picks up another 2 kills. 4 deaths on the side of NEU, none for GMU.
Wow, GMU are just like, they could have just done the dragon the whole time, and they're like, no, let's just get some kills. Like, I'm cool with getting another 300. Are you cool with it? Yeah, okay, cool. Let's just do it, right? They're a little bit flexing. They're flexing some of their muscles of just how much priority they have over, some of that over that side of the map. But yeah, those are just some cheap 2 kills that they can get themselves. They'll get another Drake. They'll start to set the, kind of set the soul point win condition that NU is maybe looking for, behind by another few minutes. But this is starting to feel jolly a lot like game 1.
It is beginning now, more so like game 1. Granted, you've got a little bit over a 1k gold difference. It is 6 kills in favor of GMU, but the gold has been maintained relatively well by Northeastern thanks to the creep advantage that they've got in several areas here. But honestly, it has been a lot of plates. They have been pushing and getting a lot of damage onto these towers. It has been a minute since the plates went down, though, so now they have to actually fully take a tower. And Flying Hippo is going to be jumped on here by Nuri. The Mantra W will get the lockdown, so Nuri may be able to get out of here alive. And in goes Jinx's girlfriend. The TP comes through. Another TP following this one up as for SoundCloud is the next target here. And a double kill going over to Yone. A little bit of an unnecessary TP there from Gans, but that's all right.
Yeah, he just wanted to say I'm helping. That's the ultimate, like, I know for LCS they have the State Farm assist award. That's definitely, he's trying to get on that high.
There it is.
They're going to go for this dive.
Fate sealed on the backside. The taunt on the steel bagel, but Gans will be the target here. Flying Hippo's going to find that one. Alonia so very low thanks to the piercing arrow, and all 3 are going to blast cone back over the wall into the river.
Guys, all right, that one is definitely GMU feeling themselves. They are 100% just like, let's just go for it. But what happens? Like, yeah, if we die, like, we'll just give her like some shutdowns. It doesn't really matter. That was some mistakes still coming out from GMU. It does happen. This is one of the is only a third, fourth. I say that, and then he just solo kills the Days. Like, man.
Dominating.
Man.
Oh, just so much damage. That's the thing, is there's so much damage coming from this GMU side. And Northeastern, they've got solid damage, but not comparable to what GMU is able to put out with the whole composition, honestly. And the Rakan to just kind of back them up and get initiations. W in. The ultimate from Senna trying to do something here. The Stand United will come through, and a teleport as well as Stalemate will have to flash over the wall. But this is a TP into 4 members. The exhaust going down onto Alonius. Lafasa trying to get the pop. It is going to miss, but it will be another kill there going over to Gans. And on the backside, it does look like there's another one of those. Senna Days was able to make it out okay. 15-4 now, so an 11 kill lead, and that gold is beginning to show much more of a disparity in favor of GMU.
Yeah, right now Alonius is really despising the patch that they got rid of being able to cancel TP. He TPs and he's like, oh, this is uncancelable now. I want to say that GMU, the beginning of these fights are really well positioned. You take a look at this. They're sitting in top side. They just got priority in mid lane, so I mean they're moving over members correctly. And even in the play before this, we saw how they're just forcing on the Flying Hippo. They push him out of lane, and then they call all 3 members into bot lane to try and get all of those kills before the Drake. That was good. It was after that when they were kind of just like fiddling around for some kills. They're trying to look for stuff. They couldn't quite find it. As I say that, Yone's in the enemy jungle, 1v3ing, trying to be a little bit aggressive, trying to find maybe some chicken nuggets sitting in the Raptor camp, or maybe try to steal a red away. But GMU, they are not comfortable just, kind of just staying in the driver's seat. They want to kind of just race across the finish line in this one.
And they are allowing for that with the communication and the response time that we've gotten from GMU. I think I've said it once or twice of how we saw there for a moment, Jinx's girlfriend was, yes, potentially caught out, but even if he got caught out, there were 2 other members there of GMU ready to engage, and they were right there in the wing. So while it looked like a 3v1, GMU can instantly always turn that into something more fair for themselves because that communication and that awareness of where the rest of the team is, who's in trouble, who can be responded on and reacted to in a positive way for the team. And they're making moves on that very quickly. So absolutely, I think one of the biggest things that this team is showing us is that they are proactive players. They are forcing Northeastern to react to their playmaking, and it is working so incredibly well.
They don't have a lot of proactive tools. It is just Lee Sin and maybe an engage from Stale Bagel. So Northeastern, they're kind of in a hole a little bit here. They're going to have to try and give up this Drake. They're also just seceding so much of the bot farm here, not only in terms of the creeps, but also just all of this vision. You take a look at this. Nuri's even sitting on a ward. Doesn't really matter. They're going to be able to clear this out. They're going to be able to get all of this vision. And yet again, mid lane collapses. Another few turrets fall. And Northeastern can never enter their jungle without kind of some trigger discipline here. Nuri's like, oh, cool, you're doing the Raptors? Thanks for the leash, buddy. He's just going to leave, going to take the red buff as well. And now Volibear is just, he does the same thing no matter how many items he has or how much gold he has. So this is fine for the most part. But they need to go for something. They need to find some kind of engage because it's 20 minutes and they're going to continue to bleed out of this game.
And it's only a 6k gold differential, so it's not massive. You know, there is a big advantage just in terms of the damage that GMU has, and I think that's one of the biggest issues in making things really hard to engage on is Jinx's girlfriend keeps going in on what seems like a dangerous play and then is just able to dash back. I mean, again, that's the nature of Yone as a champion, and so in the situation they're in, I mean, what can they do, though? It's like, they've got to find something out, but they really can't. Now we can see LaFasa there going to burn the ultimate as Stand United comes through. Stale Bagel is going to get the taunt, the ultimate from Senna. The Stormbringer under tower hits 3 of them, but it won't be enough.
My God.
Daze goes down as 3 are under tower on the backside there. They also find out Senna. And the taunt over the wall there from Gans. Flying Hippo is going to have the Mantra W. That will be a root. Alonius is going to try to deal some damage here. But it won't be enough as that is a tanky Shen.
Jesus.
Flying Hippo taking a ton of damage from Enrique, though. They're going to try to continue this fight. A nice Mantra Q. Alonius uses the no package, uses the W to jump forward, but not quite the angle they were going for. And it is going to be GMU, leaving with only 1 death.
If that big rocket connects, that's
Yeah.
potentially a kill or 2 there going over. And there's a ton of shutdown gold still in the game here. It is 5,000 gold, but if you can start claw back, I mean, they found a kill onto Nuri, which cut down on some of these Magi stacks, but a kill onto Jinx girlfriend, a kill even onto Enrique starts to chip away at that. You suddenly bring that 5,000 to 3 to 4, and it becomes a little bit more manageable. Able to connect on some of these first items. Now, really important, there's some really good item wake-ups. I'll hold that as I think Jinx girlfriend is going to try to go for the 1v2. Can't quite find it, but a ton of item wake-ups are going to be here for both sides. GMU, now Enrique has the Duskblade, has the Mirror Mana almost fully stacked up, and oh, nice flash from Alonius. Okay, the mechanics are there.
The mechanics are there, yeah. Ends up going down, and that's 40 seconds of gray screen that you've got to sit through now. Again, 19-5 being that kill spread. I keep bringing it up. I know everybody can see it, but that's a massive difference.
It's nuts.
And the gold lead now starting to really heavily sway in favor of George Mason University. And now another tower on the top side is going to end up going down. That's 3 towers for GMU, just the 1 for Northeastern. But like I said, there's really not much you can do here. Here's Northeastern. You have to stay grouped. You have to stay safe. You can't even navigate through your own jungle because you got, honestly, the whole top 3 there being Yone, Diana, and Shen is just too dangerous to try to navigate around through. So there's so little Northeastern has the opportunity of doing against this team right now.
Northeastern, we got to start looking at some of their options, right? So Flying Hippo has finished most of his build at this point. At this point, Karma's checked out. She's cashed out on her gold. She's got the Camtech Purifier as well as the Shirelles, which also did just get buffed. Really good item now, everybody. If you're not building this item, if you're not building Moonstone, just build this item because it is pretty ridiculous. Senna has her Kraken Slayer and has the Rage Knife, so already putting in, trying to convert some of those crit stats that she's getting from her souls. Mm-hmm. And, Alonius is also picking up some items. They're here for their wake-up that I was just mentioning, but the Baron is the time to call. Are they going to go for this? Is GMU just kind of going to try and bait this out and try to force him to make a mistake here? Still Bagel, spotted out on a ward now, so they'll know they're in this bush, and they know where Daze is as well. They have basically complete vision of this entire team.
They're going to go
TP
for
coming in.
Nuri. Stale Bagel goes for the TP in the mid side. Jinx's girlfriend gets the kill onto
That's one.
Daze. Shut down there onto the Diana. Alonius getting a lot of solid damage. Lafasa was the attempted hit there, but Volibear went in a little too far. Gans is gonna stay alive. Alonius goes down after getting exhausted, and Gans again is gonna stay alive here. Flying Hippo, the last living member of Northeastern, and barely living at that with no flash available. A lot of pressure now from GMU here in the mid side. This might be the end of the game.
They're gonna lose a lot of structures here. They might lose a single Nexus turret. Senna's gonna be spawning up. Volibear's gonna be spawning, but they're able to continue to pick up a little bit more gold. Again, the most critical shutdowns are still not taken. Jinx girlfriend and Enrique. Those are the ones that they're looking for. If they ever find a kill onto one of these members, I think that the fight can start to turn. The pings are going out. GMU saying, Baron, maybe not our play. We're going to try and pick up a third third Drake and a second Cloud Drake at that, which just means, I mean, their engage potential is so dangerous. You have ultimate cooldown reduction on Shen, on Varus, on the Yone. I mean, every single member of this team loves utilizing this. They're going to look for the engage here, but level discrepancies are pretty huge at this point. TP behind them as well.
There's a nice engage by Jinx's girlfriend on the backside. The charm onto Stale Bagel, who's going to try to turn onto Enrique Flying Hippo. Trying to escape here from Nuri. Will get the root there with the Mantra W. As for SoundCloud, he's going to try to be pinched out on the other side. Lafasa getting the kill onto Flying Hippo. Actually, as for SoundCloud, stays alive there. Alonius finds one kill, but then goes down to Nuri. And it's a chase again with one member being alive here from Northeastern. Jinx's girlfriend with the teleport, going to be able to get over the wall, find the ace.
Pain.
And these guys are going to work on pushing. I wouldn't necessarily push.
Instead of killing Alonius, they could have TP'd into the base. But GMU, they are saying we like to have a little bit of fun with our food here. They're playing around at this point, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
They're in the lead. It's 10,000 gold. There's a really big problem if you're ever playing against Corki, who, if you don't know, has like a 1,500% damage increase on his package if you're ever standing on it, and Shen is just like, cool. It's like barely tickling the shield that I get from my passive. That is very problematic if you're Northeastern.
And that's what I mean. They don't have the damage necessary. They are buying more items, but damage comparatively, even just the champions themselves, it is heavily in favor of GMU.
Yeah, it is. It's so dangerous. They're gonna be able to start up this Baron, and look at where some of the waves are. Right, they've got pushing waves for GMU. Stale Bagel gonna try and escape. Probably gonna go down here. They're calling Stand United now for NEU.
Back in, the ultimate from the Diana is going to pull the Volibear back in. He actually re-engaged on that one. That was his choice right there. In the meantime, Jinx's girlfriend continuing on here. Alonis is going to take out Lafasa, so that is one member without the Baron, but Flying Hippo will be the target here. The flash forward and the flash in response there by Daze. Nuri finding another kill there.
Oh my God.
Flying Hippo. Daze will take a lot of damage, and Nuri is on a rampage here, finding the triple kill. Now looking for the quadra here onto Alonius, and he will find it. That spells the end of the game for Northeastern, and a 2-0 sweep for GMU.
Oh man, this is the call an ambulance, but not for me. I got the 2-0 prediction right. I should have just stayed with my non-accountability having call at the beginning, where I just don't say who's gonna win. But GMU, they say Northeastern, that's a nice conference you had. I'm sad. I'm sorry that you only lost one game to Miami, Ohio, but the South is just too good. It's just too powerful, and a really dominant 2-0 off the back of, honestly, Jinx's girlfriend, the main star for this team, just took over both of these games.
Jinx's girlfriend and Nuri as well, absolutely. The two of them, I mean, forcing so much onto the enemy team, and again, so much proactive play coming from GMU. Forced reactive play coming from Northeastern. They picked a wonky composition going into this one. And even though it may have been intentional, it didn't really quite have maybe the chops that they were kind of going for here. So it's unfortunately going to be Northeastern's drop from this one right now to start things out. I mean, we were expecting a sweep, but not necessarily this definitively, and certainly not to start things out with a surrender.
Yeah, you know, that game was over too. That game was almost over at that point. So it happens. Speaking about the rest of the tournament, GMU, they are going to be up against the winners of the Harrisburg series, which I know is going on over on twitch.tv/academy. So if you're also looking at that matchup, that's also a pretty fun one. I just wanted to make sure what their matchup was. They're going against Goucher College. So the landmark number 2 seed from Group D. That is their winner, but GMU, congrats to them. They got a 2-0 and it was rather dominant. I mean, there's not much we could say. That was GMU basically the entire like 25 minutes both games.
Yes, absolutely in control. A little bit slower of a pickup on that one, but they certainly found themselves there. And there is a reason that this team is here today. You don't necessarily need funding, and according to Kari, which seems pretty accurate, the less funding you have, the more inspired you are, the hungrier you are for those victories. So fingers crossed that GMU finds themselves some sort of funding here in the future. We are going to be taking a quick break, I believe. I don't think we've got an interview in between on this one. So we are going to take a quick break before hopping into the next series, another best of 3 that Alec and myself will be covering. So stay tuned. We will be right back with the desk.
And welcome back, everybody, to the desk. Thank you very much, Jolly, for casting. And Dimitri, you're here with us. So I won't thank you as of yet, but still appreciate you casting that game. We're back here with me and Kari Wave to talk about what just went down between GMU and the Northmen. After game number 1, you know, we were preaching to them to be able to like change the composition, to be able to play to what GMU has in store for us, but it just seemed as though by the end of it, like, you know, GMU came out on top here. Dimitri, talk to us a bit through that game.
Yeah, that game, I just like Kari was there at the beginning, had to take the glasses off. Or like if you looked away for maybe like 10 minutes, you just thought there was a rerun from game 1. And you'd just be like, oh, we're over. It's 2-0. Is rather one-sided again. I think that Jinx Girlfriend had a fantastic performance in both games, really just kind of just neutralized Alonius's any kind of presence that he would have had. And while Nuri had a little bit of a more supportive role, kind of being a secondary engage for the team, I thought his Diana was okay for the most part. I just think that Northeastern, they did not give themselves enough tools to actually play the game. There's not enough of like Volibear's not taking any part in the early action. Karma is not trying to get out of this lane against Shen and try to, you know, take the matchup against him. There's not enough playmaking tools. You're just waiting for your jungler to try and make an engage, and even that bot lane, Senna Lee Sin is the stuff of nightmares for my solo queue games, and it felt rather tame this time around.
There's a secret tech that I want to point out, which I was shown today by many smart people out there, much smarter than I, is that that what you can do with Senna Lee Sin is that if set up by Power Claw, Lee Sin can pretty much W2 her and the Q and the Q to the enemy, and then follow his combo up from there, right? So you still get the lethality. So from there, our good friend Smack said, "Oh, So Senna's a ward in this lane. And to that I say
Yeah.
yes.
I
Yes, she is.
never want to see Prowler's call on Senna. That is just a me thing. I know we got some replays. Kari, walk me through these.
Yeah, so the
Mm.
first one. yeah. Give me my replay so I know which ones you're gonna play first.
Oh,
Yeah,
Here
show
we
the
go.
hand.
Here we go. There we
Okay,
go. Against the
so
dragon.
this one actually just goes to show the superior rotations of GMU here in terms of like being there for each other and being able to handle whatever comes their way. At least I think that's what. Yeah. So you've got Jinx GF here trying to help zone the team away from the objective, and I think that this sort of demonstrates more than anything that their team is all on the same page. Whereas Northeastern kind of fractured. Instead of saying, hey, don't chase that shiny object, we have an objective that we need to
The
focus
keys
on.
are jingling.
Yeah,
the keys are
exactly.
jingling. They're like, guys, come here.
This one's funny. Okay, so here I wanted to emphasize that Northeastern is emphasizing individual performance over team performance. Do you see how Ask for SoundCloud kind of goes in there and sort of briefs them to try to get like his own pentakill under the turret? That's just that's the individualism that isn't necessarily good for the game and good for your team. Not a huge oversight, but maybe just in the future emphasize that that it's a team game ultimately. It's not about that one shot of glory that you're looking for, but rather everybody working together towards a common goal.
But Kari, imagine he gets that pentakill. You know how nuts that is? Sin is like 5-0. You get to start off the game with like 15 to 2,000 plus gold because shutdown.
I wanted it so
It's
bad.
kinda
That's why I
nuts.
clipped it. I was like, oh no, I wanted it so bad. Yeah, and then we
100%.
we have a fight at 13 minutes as well that I was looking at that once again demonstrates just the superior rotations coming out of GMU. Once again, acting as an entire unit as opposed to kind of like glory seeking for your individual fame. So you see here, you're actually going to watch a stand together come out of the Shen on top here and then end up in the lane as well to support and just make sure that they lock down this team fight. Unfortunately, Ask for SoundCloud's a little bit too late. Probably shouldn't even have walked in there, to be honest, especially understanding that, this is a 5v4 and then a 3 and then nothing. So I would have honestly just optimized my time and gone back to base in that situation.
I mean, Kari, so what you're saying is that all of GMU moves as a unit together as one, right? So would you call them a G unit, maybe?
Wow. Listen, if we don't all lose our jobs after that, beautiful. Well done.
Thank you, Ravish. Thank you, Ravish.
This is better than for me. Thank you. I've been your host for 10 minutes or 10 minutes only, friends. I have my paycheck now. But like we talked about before, right? Definitely when it came to Northeastern, they had a lot of interesting decisions when it came to about already making plays. And I was looking at a lot of GMU to just kind of set the pace of the game when it came to the first 10 minutes. And here's what I was thinking was if Northeastern gets out of laning phase being even just right after about 15 minutes, they've actually done their job. If they get to about just at least 8 items and a half, maybe 2 items, and they're not even too far off in gold, Northeastern's competition actually scales really well along with the Corki, the Senna, and even the Volibear too, and the Karma along with them to support them. It fits well, but fortunately, by the end of it, Yone is a good champion. And once Yone gets one kill,
you can scale, but like Yone picks up 2 items and you can't kill him all of a sudden.
The game is over.
Yeah, so difficult. There's not many tanky boys to really lock him down. There's not a lot of point click CC, and I said it on the cast. You kind of brought it up there, but it feels like the Northeastern comp was very like jigs. There's a bunch of jigsaw puzzles that don't quite fit together.
Yes.
They're part of the same whole, but they don't quite they don't quite match up in terms of the pieces that individually. So GMU, congrats to them. They played a really strong game in both of their games, and I'm looking forward to see. I mean, they're going up against potentially Harrisburg, which is a really dangerous team. So wondering what the damage will be there when we get there.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm excited. My boys, my GMU boys.
As everybody says, remember, like we were talking about it before, we're all for underdog story, no coaches, no scrims, no problem here, gentlemen. They were able to bring it on home. Really good job, and GG's to both teams as well. We will be having Michigan State versus DePaul next after a very long break. So y'all go ahead, get some food, get some water, maybe play a solo queue game and come back to us when you're tilted. So maybe we can make you feel better. And remember,
5
5
p.m.
p.m.
EST.
5 p.m.
2
EST, 2 p.m. PT. Thank you, Dimitri.
There
Look
you
at that.
go.
Time zones are easy when you have a friend with you, friend. So
True.
makes things a lot better. But for now, though, that'll do it for us. Y'all make sure to come back in just about an hour. We'll see you then. Peace.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and C-Law fans. I am Matt.
You got the last name right, but it's Tiza, not Tiza.
Oh, Tiza. Oh my gosh, my entire Earth universe has just been shattered now.
It's okay. I
after
picked
all
a
these
nickname
years.
that isn't phonetic. It's really my fault, so don't worry about it.
Oh man, the fun of being casters and having to deal with IGNs too, man. It's a different question every single time. But Tiza it is having joining us here just to sit down, talk about collegiate, the overall landscape for this year, but also for past years and kind of how you got here. And Tiza, that's actually where I kind of want to start with how you started with Riot. I know that your path being a little bit different. I think you shared one of the images recently on Twitter of you helping out with the very first NA Challenger Series qualifier. How exactly did you start, with when it comes to tournament organizing and also working with Riot Games?
Sure. I call myself a tryhard. I've been a tryhard my whole life. Pretty much everything that I do, I want to be competitive at. I want to see how I stack up against other people. I just think that's super fun. Hence my Twitter tag is Tiza Tryhards. So from that, I played sports as a kid. I also did music and theater, and I competed in that. And I also played a lot of video games my whole life. And I never saw the difference between why they play football at a big stadium in front of thousands of people and why they didn't play Sonic the Hedgehog at a big stadium in front of people. 4-year-old JT never understood the difference. So as I grew up, I got more into video games. I hit that point in high school where, I stopped growing at about 5'7" and knew my professional football career was over. So I started playing a lot more video games and then was like, cool, why isn't this more competitive? I started running gaming tournaments for fun with my friends. The running joke was whenever we start doing something for more than 10 minutes, JT will attempt to make a bracket because it was just fun to say, all right, cool. It's going to be me against Mark and the winner is going to play Brian. And we'd be doing that for Karaoke Revolution and Rock Band and Tekken and Smash and, whatever we had around. So I actually started running more serious competitions actually for Dance Dance Revolution. I was hooked on the game. I went to a tournament. It was fun, but everyone was bad at running tournaments where I was at the time. And coming from a sports background, I was like, well, I know what a tournament should be, so I'm just going to run one and do it myself. And 1 became 2, became 5, became many. And after a few years, I was basically running kind of independent national tournaments for DDR and kind of a spin-off game called In the Groove. I was doing that on my own, volunteering for negative dollars, paying venue fees out of pocket and hoping, the entry fees split would cover it. And then graduated college, the community I was in kind of dried up a little bit, and then found League of Legends and got super hooked on the game in kind of early 2010. Was working at a web development company, just kind of the first job out of college, but then got really hooked on League, started playing more than I should as a working adult, and then just kind of started regularly trolling Riot's careers page, going, oh, I could be a copy editor, I could be a marketer, just trying to fit myself into a job description however I could. And then a couple of weeks after I first found it, they opened the first job for an esports coordinator. This was in mid 2011 when Riot was deciding we're going to take this esports thing seriously. And once I stopped freaking out, I got my resume together and applied for the job. So Riot brought me on in May of 2012, and I basically started on the first ever Riot esports production that was in-house, which was PAX in 2012, which was the NA World Championship qualifier. And I like to joke that I worked my way down the pyramid from there. So I helped set up the World Championship in 2012 when it was Riot's first in-house production of that. I helped launch the LCS. I was kind of the first head ref of the NALCS, also known as Serious Hat Guy on Twitch. And from there in 2013, we were like, okay, we've got this relegation thing. We need some way to feed into it. So I was running our online qualifiers for that. And then in 2014, we decided to start the Challenger Series as kind of the official minor league and qualification system. And so kind of as the guy who did lots of independent tournament organizing and did a lot of online tournament play, I got tapped to run the Challenger Series for its first few years. And so that picture was actually in the first qualifier run. I was running both North America and Europe. And we played 30 matches per region over like 3 days, which was a ton of fun, but a little dizzying. I'm glad we've gotten a little bit better on scaling since then. But yeah, I ran Challenger until 2017. I had been helping out with Collegiate with kind of the rule set and kind of format consultation. Sherman and I have known each other for a long time, kind of one of the OG Riot College dudes after Jaws. And he was like, hey, do you want to come over and do college full time? We're sort of hitting this point where there's a lot of momentum behind it. We want to make something really special, but we need, a dedicated league operations person to do that. And he sold me on it, and I came over in 2017. That was the year where the Big Ten Network joined on to be kind of the first ever partner conference. So I helped kind of oversee that part and designing what became sort of the modern college championship format. We already had the 8 teams, but figuring out how to plug in partner conferences, figuring out how to grow and evolve from there, changing the regular season to Swiss, and then continuing to tweak and tinker over the last 4 years.
Yeah, it's been amazing to like watch how Collegiate has grown as well, because I know like personally going to Miami as a like being a player in 2014 and like kind of moving into the roles that we had once we got our varsity program off the ground as well. It's really interesting not only to like watch how other games have evolved in this space, but especially Riot, because I know that one of the big highlights for a lot of the teams and players and talking with them throughout the years has been going to LA for that top 8. I know that that's kind of a big cornerstone that you guys had prepped and prepared in past years. Obviously, due to COVID, that's not something that we're working with this year with the new tournament, but just kind of like getting into what that meant for you and for Riot to have those top 8 collegiate teams and give them the LCS treatment for the weeks that they were competing as well. Like, what did that mean for you and everyone else in the building when you were able to do that?
Yeah, that's probably to me the most special part of the college season.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of a toss-up between the championship and kind of the start of the season, where we have, hundreds of players that are streaming into the Discord and talking about what's coming and working with everybody. I love kind of bringing the joy of competition to everyone. That's kind of why I started running competitions in the first place, was that, the first time I went to a Dance Dance Revolution tournament, as you can imagine, not the most popular game in the US, but showing up at that event for the first time, it felt like coming home. I was in a room full of people who got it.
Yeah.
So part of why I love running the college season is that every year we get this new stream of students in, and everyone hops into this Discord and goes, oh my God, everyone else here is here for the college season, and we're all going to play, and we're all going to like do this really cool thing. So the championship is kind of an extension of that, where we can kind of bring the best that Riot has to offer in esports, our studio and our staff and, all the great people that work here, coming together to show these college students an opportunity that they're probably never otherwise going to get, both from a competitive perspective and from a fan perspective. Just like, everyone's always excited to hop on stage for the first time because they're like, oh man, I'm on the LCS stage.
Yeah.
And we also try to do things beyond just the esports side. Last year we had a career panel where we brought in a few rioters that worked on the most recent champion release at the time, and kind of did an open Q&A with everybody there, which we also streamed to just say, hey, like, we know most of you aren't looking to go pro in League of Legends. This is going to be your one chance to do something cool like this. We want to give students something that they can bring with them, so they can say, even though if they don't want to go pro, or even if they try and they don't make it, they can say, well, I learned all this stuff when I went to Riot, and that's going to help me kind of in my life from there on.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see those ties very much true to like traditional sports as well. I love seeing the graphic that We just had the NFL draft start yesterday, and they publish a graphic every year that it tells you the percentage of kids that enter the college football, like for the FCS, and then the percentage of kids that end up getting drafted. And it's a very, very low percentage. But everyone tries to pick up a lot of skills along the way they can use for the rest of their lives. And I know that the career panel is definitely something that's pretty cool to see, and definitely something that like I've harped on with a lot of college students as well. It's like, hey, like, what can you learn and take away from this and apply to other avenues? Really important to have, and nice to see that Riot's helping out with that too. That's great too. Obviously, so the top 8, that's like the big cornerstone. This year it's going to be remote, but also this year that comes with a new tournament format. Obviously, we didn't have the collegiate championship last year due to COVID-19 and the pandemic hitting, right at the time that the collegiate championship would have been starting off pretty much a couple months in. This year, though, things have come back a little bit revamped. We have the RSSA now, and now we have the top 32 teams that are competing. What was the process like for you, Teza, when you guys went back to the drawing board and were kind of looking at collegiate for this year? What led you to being like, hey, what if we run a tournament where we invite the 32 teams in the bracket instead of just the top 8 out to Riot in LA?
Sure. So kind of at the start, kind of our guiding mission for League of Legends is that we want to make League of Legends a global sport that lasts for generations. And that's kind of the overarching League of Legends objective that kind of all of our work needs to ladder up to. On our side, we think an important part of making League a global sport that lasts for generations is our college program. That's a key component of all of that, because that is a big part of how sports work in North America, specifically in the United States. But it's also a way to get kind of institutional investment to keep things going beyond me. We want the college season to go and go and go and go, even, in some large number of years when my time at Riot is up. Even when the individual people involved have turned over and gone somewhere new. So for us, the college championship is one way that we kind of cement College League of Legends as something special and something institutional. It's kind of the one time a year we poke our head above water and say, like, hey, North American League of Legends community, we got this awesome thing here and you should check it out. And so that's kind of the biggest, like, making the championship is kind of one of the single biggest, boons a school or an institution can get from participating in the season. The visibility, the notoriety, hundreds of thousands of League of Legends players knowing a name like Maryville University. That's because they came to the championship and got that platform. So expanding to 32 teams lets us kind of spread that love a little bit more, get more teams on that stage with more people looking at them, so more schools can get that benefit of saying, hey, we went to the college championship and we earned our way by doing this, and that reflects well on the community and on the school itself. The other thing is just more competition makes things more competitive. It's more exciting. It's more fun. We're more sure the best schools get in when we're bringing more schools to the table and competing. Also, with the partner conference model that we have, it was easy to just plug another conference in when there was 5. Well, we have, I think, 16 total conferences now, counting the regional conferences. So having a bigger bracket allows for conferences to stay involved and get that benefit. And it kind of eliminates the need for kind of the messy in-between competition. Like for those of you who ever tried to keep up with the championship play-ins over the last few years, it was hard because we had to get a lot of conferences with a weird number of schools to mesh with each other and spit out, 3 teams or 4 teams or some weird number. So this makes it just easier for everyone to say, cool, I made the championship. What's a championship? It's a big old 32 school bracket. Anyone that follows college athletics or even competitions at all knows what a big old 32 bracket looks like, knows what it feels like, and can say, cool, here is our path to lift the trophy, and like, here's where I'm going to follow these schools.
Yeah, it's like March Madness without a first round, right? It's that's a lot easier to explain to admissions for sure. And I've been there. It's definitely a challenge sometimes, but it's good to see that more teams are able to get involved. And I know, like, we're filming this on the day before the first day of the top 32, and I'm anxious to see what some of those teams and matchups are going to be. And it's a lot of matchups that normally you would see in the play-ins to find out who the other 4 teams are that are going to be a part of the top 8 instead of just like the people who won the East, West, South, and North. But it's fun. Like we get to see some good matchups, and going to be on a bigger stage as well. So it should be really good to have a focus on those teams and players. I know that one of the things specifically that you did as well to try and curb the difficulty that is meshing the 16 different conferences along with the 4 sanctioned Riot conferences that you participate in if you don't fall into one of those partner programs is figuring out the other teams to join. And one of the things that Riot did to curb that this year was to form a selection committee that added some teams to the tournament to round out the 32. What was it like, going through that process as well, right? Like getting the right people and kind of the discussions behind the scenes that led to our version of Selection Sunday, right? And figuring out who the last 4 teams were in that announcement.
Yeah, this went way better than I dreamed it would be in year 1, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
With any kind of new system like this, especially when you are reaching outside to get involvement, there's always that kind of like, are people going to buy this? Do people think this is a good idea? How do we make sure we get the right people in the door? I was thrilled with the turnout we had on the application. We ended up having, I think, 21 total voting participants on the committee, which was great. Our goal was like 1 majority non-rioters, which actually we had 0 voting rioters this time around because we just wanted to keep it entirely to the community.
Mm-hmm.
But also making sure that the people that got in had, all of the access that they needed to do research on schools, to look up stats, to know, everything that was possibly going on to make the most informed decision as possible, which is always the challenge with the college season. And I want to give a shout out to, Stream Recap, who's been providing, VODs and highlights for every single game for the college season,
Yep.
which was invaluable to the committee, getting all those videos together, being able to really dive deep on those teams. And I was delighted that everyone on the committee was naturally just super engaged. Like I originally was kind of tossing back and forth between being very, very structured and saying there are going to be meetings at this time and you're going to be asked to do these things, or being kind of wide open and saying, hey, here's when you need to turn the vote in. Here's all your resources. Good luck. Immediately on, we brought everyone into a Discord server. People are just posting in chat of, I think these teams are good and here's why. And
Mm-hmm.
people are arguing and debating. We had a bunch of impromptu voice chats where someone's like, hey, this would be easier on voice. You want to just hop in? And they just jumped into the voice channel and suddenly there were just 8 people discussing, selection placement for the college teams, which was great. We're learning a lot from the first iteration. Nothing's perfect and nothing is absolutely perfect on the first try.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm thrilled with the quality of people that we had on the committee, the level of expertise that they brought to the table, and the seriousness with which they took their task. And like, frankly, the bracket's a banger. I mean,
Yeah.
when I finally looked at it,
It's
I was
good.
like, oh my God, these matchups are so good. I didn't look at anything in the first round and go like, ooh, that feels like that shouldn't have happened at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the struggle, another struggle with an 8-team bracket is you're kind of restricted on where schools can go. So
Yeah.
we've had times in the past with college championships where it's been like, oh, the real finals is in the quarters.
Right.
Because, the 2 best teams come from the same region, or 2 or the 3 come from the same region, and then you end up with an early round matchup that feels like it could have been the finals. This year, just looking at the final bracket, I kind of sat there like once, we did put all the final touches on it and was about to hit the button to share it with everybody. And it was like, oh, this is good. So I'm personally, just as a college League of Legends fan, just super excited to see how the bracket turns out. And I think at the end of the day, like, that's how the committee did a good job when you're that excited.
Yeah. No, as someone whose team, like I had to coach a team that played in the North, I know how difficult it is and how good those quarterfinal matchups can be in the past, as the North has a lot of programs that are heavily invested and have had quite a few winners throughout the years as well. But no, I mean, it's definitely really exciting. And I know that personally, SUNY Buffalo was in our partner conference, the ESCA. And they kicked our tail all year. So I was happy to see them get in as well. I know that Northeastern kind of upset them in the final, which was exciting for us in the conference. But hey, now both teams get to go compete and put their best foot forward as well, which is cool. That kind of transitions me into some other points and kind of thinking about CLAW. And I think it'd be stupid on my part to not have one of the leaders of the Collegiate Riot not kind of ask about future plans while we're sitting down and while I have you here. And I know that one of the topics that a lot of people have been talking about in the community is the power of partner conferences, and how I know that with ESCA, which is pretty much the MAC conference in football, but just titled ESCA for esports, It's been nice for our school to compete in a lot of those with a more central focus on who our opponents are and something that we can relate to our administration in terms of the schools that we're up and playing against. What's Riot's plan for partner conferences like moving forward? Like what what do you guys think like the value is, and like is it something where Riot's looking to have more come in and work within the collegiate landscape, or are you looking to maybe go back to like where things are more centralized, where it's just the 4 regions that you had previously?
For sure. So we like partner conferences for a lot of reasons. One of which is you kind of touched on it already. Having a smaller, more reliable set of competition will make things just better. One, because you can plan around it. You know who your competition is going to be, so you can scout them and you can be planning for it weeks in advance. But also, the part of the magic of college is those rivalries and the history that goes into competition.
Yep.
We often joke that we could, and not just us, but you could set up Michigan and Ohio State in an underwater basket weaving competition, and you could probably get 10,000 people to watch, just because those two schools love competing against each other, and there's generations of history of those schools wanting to get the best of the other, and we can both tap into that with partner conferences, but also start building our own. We know that League of Legends doesn't map 1-to-1 to athletics in terms of which schools are involved and which schools are strong. So we need to build some of our own history, and partner conferences are a way to do that. Additionally, just getting more schools committing long term to esports and to League of Legends specifically is a big win for us.
Yeah.
We started kind of as a student supported effort. Students were kind of organizing their own national college League of Legends competitions as early as 2012. So we've always been kind of mindful of that. But to make the best experience possible for all League of Legends players on a college campus, you need the institution to buy in. So what we want to do is, part of the appeal of the college championship for us is it's a way to kind of get administrators' attention and translate esports and gaming into something that is more understandable. We can talk about the power of clubs, and we can talk about all the special things that happen online or with streaming and so on, and that can be a hard thing to learn if you're not already well versed in gaming. Whereas if you put a big old championship broadcast up, there's a trophy, the winners are wearing championship hats, and an administrator can say that and say, hey, I get this, and I already know why athletics is meaningful and important and something we invest in, and I'm starting to see why this is good too. So our goal is to get schools to support the gamers on their campus, whether or not they're the competitive team or just people that like playing with their friends on campus, people that want to feel connected to their university, that want to rep their school, that want to kind of find their tribe and make the most meaningful experiences they can at college, both because that's just great. We want to make people happy, but also because the more engaged a student is, the more likely they are to stay committed to their studies, the more likely they are to graduate, and the more likely they are to contribute to kind of the virtuous cycle of, alumni giving back to the university being able to recruit better students and so on. So partner conferences for us is a way both to make the competition better, but also to help put in those roots to schools that are starting to say, hey, I see that there's this huge proportion of students on our campus that want to be more involved, that want to be more engaged, and here's a way for us to get involved in that makes sense to us. So overall, we like partner conferences for all those reasons. We definitely want to keep adding more. And we think just competition will be better the more we can put schools in smaller, more bespoke competitions and out of kind of the big catch-all regional conferences. And you kind of led into this a little bit, but part of the challenge there is that, we still want to be supportive of the club program. Not everybody has an administrator that's super excited to get involved in esports. Not everyone is going to get, a final or a midterm moved because that's when playoffs are or something like that. So a lot of the season is built around being sensitive to those students that are self-organizing, that don't have that support from the university. We don't want to say, hey, in order to participate in the college season, you need to participate for these 5 months and you're playing 3 matches a week and, you're very involved. We want students to be students first. We want this to support their college experience. And the point of going to college, among other things, is to get an education. So it kind of puts us in a tough spot where we want to add things that support the highest level of play, and that's why we expand the championship to 32 teams. That's why we want to build out more partner conferences to make competition better. But we also need to keep supporting our regional conferences to give those club programs, whether they're super competitive, whether they're your Western Ontario's that have been in the last 2 championships, or the club programs that somewhere around 8% of players in the college season are silver or below. And we love that they still want to be involved. And we need to make sure that we're giving them an experience that is worth coming out.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the cool parts about collegiate as well, and kind of leads into my next question, is that everyone has a seat at the table. Like, no matter how, like, what your skill level is at, if you want to represent your school and compete, you have the ability to do that. I know there are even second teams and club teams that compete in CSL as well. It's another option just to get more competition and represent your school in something, which is definitely something that I know that personally I take a lot of pride in, and I think everyone else that's competing under their school's banner does in this tournament as well. On a big plus and boon for them. So it's nice that everyone gets a seat at the table. I know that one thing, though, is obviously, as you mentioned, there is a rather stark difference between UWO, a club program who has produced players that have gone pro, like Gorica and Winston, who both competed in Proving Grounds this past split, that circuit, and then other teams where you have Maryville, their first round team, because it's based on ELO. They're playing a team of players that are bronze and silver, right? And they're trying to get the game time as fast as possible for the tiebreakers. Have you thought of like any way to somewhat like split up that like the skill difference like within those regions? Because it's great that everyone's able to compete, but also for a team like Maryville, the reality is that in that conference, they're only going to get 4 or 5 really competitive matches a year, just because the first couple games of that Swiss bracket, they're probably going to be on a different level than their opponents, right? So is there any talk about like maybe centralizing some of the better teams in those regions so they can form those rivalries and play multiple regular season games to try and build up some of those storylines? Or do you feel really good about the fact that like, hey, everyone gets a seat at the table in like this one big conference, like we can like kind of run with that from there?
Yeah, it's a great question. Nobody likes being stomped.
Yeah.
if we're trying to build a good experience that also includes teams of silver players and gold players, we want to avoid them getting stomped as much as we want to avoid Maryville having to speed run a team in 15 minutes to try to get the best playoff placement.
Yeah.
That's basically part of a trade-off we made with this format. It is something that we are looking to try to do better with in future seasons. We're going to be talking a lot more this summer about kind of the longer term future about College League of Legends, how we want to evolve things and continue improving things for everybody. Part of that has to involve a conversation on, better skill differentiation in some way. We don't have anything specific to share yet. We're still pretty early on in the process. And we will let everybody know as loudly as possible when we do. But it is something that we know is probably the biggest weakness of the season right now, is the first couple of weeks at the very fringes, how one-sided those matchups go.
I'm sure that both the schools that are getting stomped and doing the stopping will be happy to hear that. You guys are at least have that on the front of your mind, right?
Yeah, we definitely want to reward the schools that are investing more and are putting more into their programs, that are getting super competitive, that are raising the level of play. Like, we do want to give them more opportunities for high level, meaningful competition over a longer period of time. And at the same time, we want to give programs that are just starting out, or club teams that don't have a lot of support, opportunities to play games that still feel meaningful, or at least feel like they're learning and getting something out of it. Some schools love the chance to play a Maryville, but we want to reserve that for kind of the college championship feel, where you get, every year in March Madness, an Ivy League school gets put in the bracket, and every year, not every year, but oftentimes they make a quick exit, but sometimes they don't. Yeah. And that's a story that we want to be able to tell. And also at the same time, those schools often love just going to the dance, being able to say, hey, like, we earned our spot, we're in the college championship bracket, we're going to go and see what happens. And even if you don't go, as a former competitor, I would always encourage people to play in tournaments, because even if you get stomped, even if you drown in pools at EVO, even if you get 2-0'd in whatever local event that you're competing in, you're going to learn so much, you're going to get so much better, and being able to have that experience is super special. So we want to try to kind of have our cake and eat it too a little bit, but we're going to work on ways to kind of support both the most competitive teams and kind of the newest teams, or the less competitive teams, and giving them both somewhere to play that's more meaningful.
Yeah, and like I said, it's fantastic that everyone gets a seat at the table, and that's definitely a big part of college sports, in every sport, right? And if you have a program, you're able to compete at the level, and you kind of just let the competition speak for itself as things go on, right? And that's, I guess, one of the fun things about what we have at the moment is that there are programs like Maryville, like Winthrop, who have put massive amounts of resources in their programs and are seeing a lot of success with their players. And there's UWO, where they're still a club and they are able to compete at the same level as some of those teams as well. And I love talking with other clubs as well and just seeing like what they do to make student life on their campus better and support that too. It's kind of cool, all the different approaches that schools and students have had to this, but it all relates to one big thing. That's the love of league and the love of collegiate league. And as we sit here on the eve of the top 32, Tizza, I have no more other questions for you, but kind of want to give you a chance. Do you have anything else you want to say, shout out before we dive into the top 32 tomorrow?
Yeah, I just want to say thank everyone for being here. We couldn't do this without kind of the excitement of our players and now the excitement of administrators all over the U.S. and Canada. College League of Legends is really special both to me, but also to Riot. It's something that we talk about a lot internally as something that we're really proud of. So we're excited for the future of College League of Legends. We want League of Legends to be a global sport that lasts for generations. And to us, the college program is a key component of making that happen.
Fantastic. Well, Tizza, thanks so much for joining me, and thanks so much for all the work that you've done to get us here to the top 32. And like you, I'm so excited to see what kind of conclusion and what story is written for the next 3-4 weeks while we wrap up the rest of this tournament and see who ends up taking home the trophy in the end. But for now, that's it from me, Matt Cubby Samuelson. Thank you so much for joining me, Tizza, and I'm sure that we'll see you around the Rift, and we'll see you in the Twitch chat as we get to see what happens for the rest of the Collegiate Champs.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks so much. We'll see y'all later.
Welcome back to That's Everybody yet again. I'm Ravage, joined by Kari Wave and Dimitri Akbari Toledo. And we're about ready to get into almost our second matchup of the night, which will be, you know what, Kari, say the name. You can see them just so nicely. Who was it going to be? Tell us.
What? Our matchup for tonight?
Yo, you just threw this on her. It's Michigan State versus DePaul.
Leave me
Kari. Why are you bullying her? Come on, Ravage.
It's the paying attention test that I got to do, bro. Y'all make sure you're
You know what? It's fair enough to pick on me, but I did wake up about 30 seconds ago, so he knows. He knows that I'm weak. He knows where I'm at, so can only be honest.
I want to make sure to go ahead and get your heart pumping and your eyes racing at the sound and speed at which leads will be coming at us, but not anytime soon. But Dimitri, with that being said, since you already said the matchup, let's talk a little bit about it, starting off with Michigan State.
Michigan State, what can I say other than Peyton, really big meme?
Hello,
that's
everybody.
the whole team identity. Especially if you go on Twitter, you go in the C-Lol Discord, it's just Peyton. It's Peyton, baby. 10,000 a month for this guy. In all seriousness, they are coming in as it's 10,000 a month. It's so good. Anyway, talking about this team though, they are a team that wasn't able to qualify through playoffs. They were knocked out by Maryville in their own conference, and then were voted in by the committee to that. We were seeing when Cubby was talking to Tizza. It is all about just the fact that they got voted in. Awesome. They were probably going to be a shoo-in just because of their performance in general, and honestly, I am a huge fan watching this team's VODs. I mean, you go on their stream recap, and it's just like their mid laners playing Camille, like you just saw in that clip right there. They have all these different playable flexes, and obviously, with Viego and Gwen available, I'm looking forward to see Sunlight and this guy kind of really start to take over. A lot of awesome things I think we'll get to see. If it makes it through, it'll probably be banned, and I'm not going to have any fun, but a dreamer can dream.
Dream high and dream long, yeah, Dimitri. As don't give up all hope just as because look at this Kaisa flying away in the back line, looking and thinking,
wow,
hey, maybe
really
I can attempt to kill, but won't even matter. Look at
Oh
that.
my God.
See, an ADC mechanic such as yourself, I'm sure you can appreciate how good she did. She had to move her mouse 3 times, and suddenly everyone in front of her exploded.
I gotta say, again, when we're talking about it at the top of the day, really big game has had a fantastic growth track from the beginning of the year to now, and I think that now kind of being able to step up into that role as hey, maybe there's a spot for me in an academy team or something like that. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do. Not only that, but also his team, as there's a couple of other people take over the mid laner for TSM Academy, or the backup, the 6th man is also going over there. So MSU really starting to pump it up when it comes to pro talent. Love to see it.
Yeah, sure. Because you saw that. Because look, like you just mentioned, MSU have a fantastic roster on their hands, and clearly they've shown how they can set a lot of players up for success. So I'm excited to see what kind of playmaking ability they're able to bring to the others, able to bring to the game. But on the other side of the card, let's talk a little bit about DePaul.
DePaul University is apparently very dominant here. They're I think, what did they win? The Big East #1?
Yes, Big East. Big
Yeah,
East,
that's
number
correct.
1 gamers.
#1 gamers. Honestly, as far as play style goes, again, with the team fight mechanics, that's coming down to as you get to a higher level of play, team fight mechanics become more and more important, more prominent than the individual plays. But looks like we've got an individual play quadra kill. I'll eat my own words here. I think that name of the game is that DePaul really does have an excellent team fight. And even though I think all of us are kind of skewing towards Michigan in the smallest sampling of bias, I do think that DePaul actually mechanically may be able to outscale, outmatch, outwit, outsmart Michigan State. So I got a bit of another hunch, and I wasn't wrong last time.
No,
so.
not this again, man. I will say DePaul have looked good. You saw it in that clip, but it also just shows in their solo queue, King Majin is by far the best player on this team. Challenger, 500, 600 LP. The rest of them are kind of floating around Diamond. It happens. But, I mean, if we're ever going to see a DePaul victory, it is going to be around this bot laner. I mean, you see this now in his positioning. Stuff like the Caitlyn is so important for you to have that. And I mean, at this point, I will say this is kind of similar to that Kaisa clip we saw. He's just right-clicking, guys. I mean, he dodges out on a few abilities. Nice job. But if the bar are going to find a victory, you know, like, it's going to be off of King Majin being on, like, these really, really important AD carries that kind of just blow open the game. So look out for stuff like Tristana, but also, if he's willing to play Caitlyn, like, Jinx starts to kind of fall back.
Yeah, I have a tendency to believe so. Maybe I'll scale back my praise of DePaul because I teams that have a tendency to build around one particularly strong person, they're kind of inconsistent in their ability to get wins. So I mean, it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's anyone's game, but building around a specific like player on your team, it's not always successful. I think it's a lot less consistent than just having good team synergy. So in terms of team synergy, I mean, they sort of have it, they sort of don't, but it does seem like King Majin is the star of the game there. And listen, right clicking, I get it, but it takes a while to get there. You got to earn the right click, you know? Let's give it a little bit of.
Yes, bro. Look, Dimitri, man, you know as well as I do, bro. End of the day, like, ADC diff just becomes support diff more often than not.
It's actually support difference every time. These guys are, I mean, it's true, right? Like, all I'm doing is providing damage. You guys have, like, Nautilus. You guys have Leona. You guys had Yuumi for like a year, and that was the most annoying thing in my for me to play.
You refer to it as
every single game. It's so disgusting. Like your champion is literally able to not only decide my lane, but also mid lane and top lane if you really want to do it, and you also help out the jungler. So realistically, like support plays a ton of roles.
Okay, let's just clear.
ADC.
Let's just clear some things up here, bro. I'm a top mid. I don't know about the support you speak of, bro.
You haven't played with Sam then. You have not played with Smacks. Smacks with one tier lane. He will leave me weak side Caitlyn for no reason. It happens.
So some of the duos are going fun, am I right? You guys are climbing over the top.
He's actually D4, and I'm currently like 65 LP, like 65% win rate plat 3. I'm almost there.
Okay, all right, my man climbing all the way to the top. He
doesn't want to switch either because the space groove passes on, and he's like, bro, I need the Lulu skin. But now that he has it, now he might get on the ult account. And just saying, I might go back to 70% win rate, but we'll see what happens.
We definitely will, though. But what we're doing to talk about and see is what's going to happen in this game, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's hear your predictions and understand why. Dig down deep into your core. Now, Kari, I'm looking at you. Give me an actual reason. Don't just dream for me.
Okay, so like I wanna be the yes and guy that tells you that it's gonna be DePaul because I know Alka's gonna say Michigan State, but I can't do it. I would love to balance the desk out in an ideal world, but I'm gonna go 1-2 Michigan State. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give DePaul 1 win. Okay, I'm gonna give them 1. But I don't think they're gonna pull one out. I wanted to pretend, Alk. I want you to know that I was gonna try to balance the desk out. Unless you're pro DePaul, then I was mistaken.
No, I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry to all the Big East. I'm sorry. I don't want to make any what is it? People who would hate me for that, but the North Conference is just way too OP. There's way too many good teams. The fact that Michigan end up, they make a run for it, they get cut short because of Maryville. I think that's just like it's just too much. Michigan have been basically training in what is the best collegiate like conference that has been for CELO for a while. I think it's kind of just a no-brainer. MSU should take this 2-0. But if there was ever a person to throw a game and make a really good joke about it, it's really big meme. I mean, I have really bald memes somewhere on my computer when he posted he's doing his CELO VODs, and he put a picture of him with Kha'Zix after Proving Grounds. I have that somewhere on my computer. I could probably bring it up.
Please find that.
Yeah, MSU 2-0. It's not very close.
I definitely have the picture, and I promise you, after game number 1, we will put that up for you because especially if he does well, bro. Really bald me.
If he does well, we'll pull it up. We'll pull it up if he does well. How about that? Let's do it.
Yeah. There you go.
Here's the thing. Real quick, DePaul, if you do win and we have all stacked the cards against you, I think there's no better motivation than a whole desk that doesn't believe in you. We will eat our shirts, okay? Maybe not the ones we're wearing. but maybe
Okay,
perhaps
I
some
was
shirt.
gonna say,
Okay.
I don't know if Riot would be okay with a certain, and
Bro,
we'll see.
Not the ones we're
I'm
wearing.
down for maybe
Nah,
the
nah,
gamer
nah.
shirt
Yo,
that I
I'm
had
gonna
on
need y'all to
earlier.
stop all this wee business, bro. I do not speak French, so that's gonna
Oh,
be just
man.
a y'all thing. Now, with that though, I am also the favorite of Michigan State. It should be a 2 in my opinion, because before I was trying to be nice, but man, after the GMU game, I'm thinking, you know what? Let's just be realistic out here, and let's just put and lay the cards how they are. No need to go all the way to the river. Let's decide what we want to do by the flop. Now, with all that said, we're gonna cut it to a 30-second break. Count it in your head, 3-0. And when we come back, we will have game number 1 between these two fantastic teams, between you all. See you then.
Not even 30 seconds. That was less than 30 seconds. I'm okay with that. Getting right into things. Is me. I'm back. Jolly and Alk.
It's me. Hi, it's me. I'm
All
here.
right, we're starting the
Guys,
game up pretty
we
soon.
have great news. We got draft working. It happened. Woo!
It's here. Got my pen and paper
Awesome.
here at the ready. I don't have to rush to write it down at the beginning of the game. So
You're
Michigan
just like,
State.
listen, Sana, like we're just sitting
Yeah.
there.
Fuzzy up here. So Michigan State starting on the get out of here. Starting on the blue side. DePaul starting here on the red side. And Michigan State, obviously the favorite for the desk. I will have to say, to add to Ravish's, I know he loves his predictions again. I said Michigan State before anything even started. This is a very confident team. I also think that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of the new champions during the interview that I had with Inconspicuous. He mentioned that they're absolutely going to pull some fun, crazy stuff out. And they are likely going to lock in the new champions. And as I say it, the first lock is Viego. No surprise. So this is, if I'm not mistaken, it is a top laner playing mid. Normally top laner in the mid lane. And so that's why we're actually going to be seeing a lot more of this style, like the Viego style. So I'm assuming that one's going to go there for I Am Sunlight because of that top style of play.
Yeah, they get both of the new champions. Yeah, I was gonna say, look at the draft. Look at the draft. So two things. If you're looking at just purely solo queue, MSU's top laner, Scenarius, this guy is so nuts. He has like thousands of game on Darius, so it makes sense that it's gotten rid of. And you look on MSU's bans, they're just getting rid of every single AD carry, because like we saw on the desk, King Majin, he is the guy to carry for this team. And already, since we have to get rid of certain of those picks, it means that these start to finally come on through. And now with Gwen and Viego, I think this is really interesting. It's a really short range composition. I've played a couple games of Gwen so far. My kind of gut feeling is this champion, if you can get away from her, is really bad. She does not stick on to champions very well. She has a dash that kind of resets halfway through, but it's not consistent. It's not enough dash ability for her to kind of stick onto certain members. And for DePaul, they're already building the Exodia comp. They're building out the cog, the protect the cog.
Protect the cog, I love it. You've got the wild growth there from the Lulu Classic, and her buff did come through as well. She's been played a lot. The Jin was locked in as well as that third one for Michigan State, and then the Silas is going to be taken there. So some pretty cool opportunities for ultimates already available on that end.
Yep. Silas, I don't know the interaction on this. Considering she's untargetable, if she presses W and you're out of range of Gwen, does it just like not land? Does it actually put your ult on cooldown? That's a super micro interaction that I don't know if we'll be able to see, but
I think generally if he's not able to steal the ultimate, it's one of those like a short, like a 5 set. I'm not certain here.
Yeah.
Like a shorter cooldown.
Ravage did call this earlier though, the Mr. Steal Your Champion, because now there's Silas and Viego. You get all of the basic abilities, and then one team just gets the ultimates. And so Michigan, they can kind of pivot their draft because of how early the Silas was picked up, and just be like, okay, cool, like we can pick a bunch of champions that have kind of meh ultimates, not like super effective ones.
Right. Yeah, that is definitely a strategy, but I think they wanted to try to grab that before the second ban phase came through. You can see the Morgana there. Michigan State trying to finish things out, but the Blitzcrank and the Thresh. So supports being targeted heavily, though. That Morgana, I mean, you've got Reaper who has selected the Lulu there for Razor. We're gonna get it's Razors. All right, we're gonna say if we're wrong, you can call us out. We might not see it, but we'll do our best. Jarvan's gonna be the last lock in there, so it is focusing on the jungle. Morgana jungle has actually been a recent thing and certainly would have helped with that Kog'Maw, but they are going to hover the Olaf, and that will likely be the lock in here, and that it is.
Yeah, interesting. They're giving themselves a lot of people that love to have Lulu on their team. There is a little bit of magic damage concerns. Obviously, Olaf kind of tries to bridge that. Now, for DePaul, I think some form of engage, someone who could be a frontline, something like a Scion actually, would do really well against the 3 champions that Michigan State are kind of already showing. So, very dangerous. Michigan State, if they kind of pigeonhole themselves, have a really kind of awkward draft to kind of pilot. They'll grab themselves the rel, and now we'll have to see whether or not this is going to be that jungle Viego or the mid laner, because Viego tends to do actually really well into some control mages, although Silas I think is going to give him a few problems. So up to Sunlight here what they want to go for.
And another reason to lock that Silas in, because as I mentioned, that Viego likely, I think I don't know why I have an inkling that mid laner has been recently picking that one up. It might have been hinted at by by Inconspicuous there during our conversation, but Lee Sin is going to be locking, and that gives you your answer. I mean, yeah, it gives you a pretty solid answer. I always, this is one of those teams where I definitely struggle to write down everything in the proper positioning. But Vladimir, I like the Vladimir pickup here. It's not necessarily following the rest of the composition in terms of keeping the Kog'Maw alive, but it is going to be a good distraction, a good aggressor there for DePaul University, and it is going to be the Vladimir into the Viego, it appears.
Awesome. Okay. This is the one unique thing that I think that when I was looking at MSU and I was looking at DePaul, specifically at DePaul, it was just like mid laner is just willing to play whatever. He'll play Camille mid lane. He will play top laners into this lane. It is just all over the place for DePaul. And like you're saying, it doesn't quite match the identity that maybe we had sculpted, but I mean, you see this, Kog'Maw's just standing in the background, and the entire time Zerch and Kamcha are just sprinting into the backline. They are just like... Shirelia's battle song did get buffed, so I wonder if we'll see that mid lane, because I know TF and Vladimir tend to build it sometimes, but that is a really unique way to try to deal with some of these Michigan State members.
Yeah, it is. Okay, that's what I thought. It is Lee Sin top, it is Gwen in the jungle, because I saw a swap or two, and then they secured this. Funny enough, when they locked the Gwen, I just assumed it would be in the jungle here for this team. But again, I mean, they said they were going to take some fun, crazy stuff.
That's
in.
RBM
they locked
right
in the
there.
first 2 champions, and
There you go.
that is RBM. You got RBM, who, I mean, we can expect nothing but this kind of play. Cheesy, but exceptional play from this guy. So, get ready for this Gwen.
I didn't know, Jolly, that when I was talking about Lisa and solo lane for the last series, that would actually be useful for the series. I did not... Oh, no. Oh, no. All right, so apparently your background just does not like the MSU draft.
Wow.
I don't know what that is.
Bro, that was my Billie Eilish LP. It better not be damaged. The window blew open. My window blew open.
Oh, no.
That's hence all the leaves that came through. It's very windy and stormy outside.
Oh.
Okay, I'm permed. I'm
Jolly,
permed. I'm gonna go shut my window and make sure my LP is okay.
All right. Now, this entire time, by the way, Jolly also kind of works with the Boise State University. Not able to make it quite yet for the Seawall stuff, and also just, not able to get over there thanks to COVID. So unlucky, but a fantastic job from DePaul. I think that they have some interesting things. It's going to, yet again, it's King Majin or bust for these guys. And while Michigan State have some damage, Jin kind of worries me against this team. Doesn't really tend to stand up very well versus someone like a Vladimir or an Olaf just jumping right on top of him. And the range discrepancy is super dangerous. Not a lot of people to proc that Deadly Flourish. Is the LP saved?
It is. It's okay.
Dog.
Oh, here's
And we got
Monty.
a dog now too.
Yeah, there's Monty. Monty. He's. Oh my God, the crap that was blown in through that window. It's okay.
I
bud.
didn't know if it was like the record that like shattered and like went out of the thing, or if it
No.
was leaves.
Oh no, it's glow in the dark. The record didn't actually leave the sleeve.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Let's go.
It is a bunch of leaves, a ton of leaves. Monty's gonna be distracted now for the next little bit, making sure nothing else topples. Thank you, good guard dog. Thank you, good boy.
Does does Monty have any strong opinions about Lee Sin Top? I see they've joined us for the broadcast.
How you feeling about that one? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I think that's a favorable. I mean, he's looking away though. Let's see if
I
we'll
think
give him-
I think it's a thumbs down.
Yeah, no kiss. Yeah, that's a thumbs down.
Oh, Lee Sin Top. I'm sorry. It's a Michigan State.
Yeah, he doesn't
first
like it.
loss.
He doesn't like it. Now wait.
Oh,
Oh, DePaul. He votes DePaul. All right. Kari's got
Okay.
one. For the underdogs here. Monty gave a kiss for DePaul. No love for Michigan State. He just likes to counter. He just likes to argue with me. That's
that makes
most of
sense.
it.
That's what my dog does. She's like 4 months old, and so literally any time that we're like, "Hey, Grace, you want to come here?" She's like, "No." She doesn't come here.
Yeah.
She never ever wants. She just naps.
You know,
on
I
the floor
mean,
all the
you
time.
ask your dog, do you want to maybe come over? Do you want to maybe sit down? Like,
Yeah, no, and
I
it's
think
just like not happening.
command,
She's napping
right?
on the floor right now. I
Aw.
would grab her, but like she's very cute right now. It's like it'd be mean if I grabbed her right now.
Aw.
She would let me, but like she's man. Jolly, don't we have a game somewhere? I don't. I think we have a DePaul Michigan State game somewhere.
No,
finished
nature was
up
trying
on
to
that
break into
draft.
my house, so I had to deal with that
Yeah.
first. Successfully broken, actually. But yeah, I mean, DePaul's got some love here from Monty. No love for the Lee Sin Top, so we're gonna see if that can be pulled out. Honestly, I mean, I've seen Lee Sin Top many times. It's not the most insane pick that we've seen, even so far today, necessarily. So
Yeah.
I don't want to say knock it. Don't knock it till we see it, because this is the first game that we're going to be able to see here between Michigan State and between DePaul. So this might be the way that they warm up. They just pick a fun cheesemo.
Yeah, we're going for a full like finger warm up game
Yeah.
where it's just like
Yep.
we're playing Lee Sin, we're playing a lot of mechanical champions. I am really, I think, along with a bunch of other people, they want to just see the new champions, right? They just want to see how Viego works in the laning phase in a competitive setting. I'm really interested to see how Gwen is piloted by RBM, because typically Olaf against squishier mages or against these squishier champions in the jungle likes to just run over them, and one of the ways you get around that is a phase rush or some kind of way to not interact with his axe toss. And she has a way to do that with her W. So at a certain distance, I think that she can try to disable him, but really, I think it's going to be a fun kind of game to watch as we finally get into game. Oh man, Gwen first. How much experience do you have with Gwen?
I the day that she came out and One for All was a thing, I was like,